Hey guys, welcome back to the Hunter Base Podcast. What do Maverick Hunters do when they're not hunting Mavericks? They go back to the base, recharge, and shoot the shit. I'm your host of the most, Zeromaster, and back again with me is Canadian Jutsu.
How's it going, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic afternoon.
Sorry, I interrupted you there.
That's fine. I'm just talking about. I hope they're having wonderful days.
Wonderful day, as
just want to make sure everybody's having a good day today.
It's always a wonderful day on the Hunter Base Podcast.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
At least let this 2+ hours of your listening pleasure be full of happiness.
Oh man, I hope it doesn't go over that. But tonight we have a couple of guests with us, good friends and fellow RCG members. First, we have Blonde Guy Gamer.
Hi.
And we also have SCXCR.
Am I supposed to stop listening to Hideki Naganuma tracks now?
I mean, you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't bleed into your audio, or I'll slap you.
All right. Okay.
So tonight we are going to be talking about E3 2019. To those who, I don't know why anybody wouldn't know who you guys are, but do you want to tell people what you do, Blondie?
I mean, I do review stuff, mostly on obscure things probably you never heard of, spin-offs and such.
Yeah. You mean
I like
Black
Tales of games.
Sheep type games?
Pardon?
Like Black Sheep type games?
Yes, or sequels you didn't know they had sequels to.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
That kind of stuff.
All right.
You've piqued my interest.
SCR does some things about Seiken Desus or whatever.
I review games I find on the cheap. I review games that I just feel like reviewing. I do playthroughs of Japanese games right now. I play terrible horror games on Twitch. I speed run, and I occasionally write reviews for Operation Rainfall.
Yeah, you do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think he
I wear many hats, but I'm just wearing one for the stream.
All right, so before we hop into E3, guys, there's some pre-E3 stuff, because a lot of stuff got released or announced, I guess you could say,
and
before
leaked.
E3.
There was quite a few leaks too.
It's like. Why even bother with E3 if you're just going to release everything beforehand? But I'm going to go over these rather quickly because we want to get right into E3. So the things I've got, I didn't go past further than a couple of months. I didn't want to go to the start of the year and talk about all the stuff that's happened the past 6 months. I just wanted to keep it simple. First things first, Sony did another State of Play where they announced Monster Hunter World Iceborne, where we'll get into that more in a minute, or showed off gameplay of it at least. They talked about they showed a teaser for a new Predator game called Predator Hunting Grounds.
That definitely had my interest a little bit. It's like, hey, you could play as a predator and hunt other people. That could be cool. That could be cool.
I mean, I figured you'd be interested in it because I know you're a big fan of that franchise or the Aliens.
Well, Alien versus Predators,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They showed more of the Medieval remake, which I pre-ordered today.
Nice. I'm definitely looking forward to that as well.
Scott, do you have any input on that, since I know that you know that game like the back of your hand?
We'll see how it goes.
All right. They mentioned this game called Away, where it's a survival game where you play as an animal in third person. I think they showed off gameplay of you playing as a raccoon or something, or a squirrel. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I only vaguely recall that.
It looks interesting. And then they announced a Days of Play console, which is just a PS4 that's made of stainless steel.
Okay.
And then they showed a little bit of the Final Fantasy VII remake, but that was about it. But the thing we probably really care about talking about pre-E3 stuff is, well, they showed for Monster Hunter World Iceborne, the developer stream that happened literally right after State of Play.
Wait, didn't they also show Death Stranding?
Not
was that the same day?
Not in the State of Play.
No, not in the State of Play. I think they mentioned it, but that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I must be getting it crossed.
We'll get to that though.
Yeah.
But Monster Hunter World Iceborne, man, they showed a lot of stuff. just the key points I want to go through real quick is Master rank is the new G rank, which is coming with the expansion. Finally.
Sure.
A lot of people are clamoring for that. It's funny because we were just talking on my stream last night how like Tempered and Art Tempered was kind of like a stopgap for G rank. And now they're finally giving us G rank with this. The new area Horrorfrost Reach is huge. It's the biggest map in the game. And hot drinks are back.
Cool.
There we go.
My cold drinks were getting sad next to nothing. Or my mega potions in this case.
Exactly, yeah. There's new elements with this new area. Like, for example, they've added a hot spring area where you can use it basically as a hot drink if you forgot one, for example, which is kind of neat. Not that you couldn't just go back and get it one, but that's kind of neat.
Hey man, when you're on the go chasing new monsters, I have no time to go back to camp.
Exactly.
I think Hot Springs might also give you some other benefits too. If I remember.
Yeah,
recall.
I think it also like some monsters are like calm around the hot springs, so they'll just chill.
Or you can find them like by the hot springs.
Yeah, exactly. There's 2 new monsters that they showed off initially. Bonboro, which is a brute-horned ram-like thing who can pull shit up out of the ground and like charge at you, and it's not just like rocks or like snow. He could take like whole like fucking trees and ram you with trees. It's kind of neat.
He's basically a brute Riven with crossed with like an elk.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Beatotus, which is like it's like a snow shark. It's kind of like, it reminds me of Cephadrome, kind of, but not as annoying, I would say. Actually, it looks like he comes out of the friggin' snow once in a while.
I think he is a Plesioth variant, or at least an ice variant.
It's just another Plesioth variant. So we've got a lava one, we've got an ice one, and we got a mud one. I guess he's supposed to be water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they announced Nargacuga's returning, which is pretty neat. As much as I lament it being Nargacuga, but
Nargacuga's cool.
But later on they announced that Tigrex is coming back too, so yeah. I was happy about that.
But yeah, like Tigrex, Nargacuga, and I'm hoping Barioth makes a return because they all have the same model or similar models.
There was like a leaked image, a wallpaper that showed a bunch of like monsters. It wasn't really leaked; it was just something that they posted, and people thought they were like, because they were rendered in a higher like graphical style. People seem to think that they're going to appear in the game, but we have no idea yet. Because Fatal Lee's on that, and like I could see Fatal Lee being another raid monster because we only have one currently.
I could see Barioth, like, because isn't there an Ice Barioth variant in 3 Ultimate?
Yeah, Barioth is.
There's Barioth and then there's Baroth, right?
Yeah,
Baroth is the chargy boy in the desert.
There was like a blue variant in 3U, I think.
Yeah,
there is. Yeah.
So I was like, if they're going to be reusing some models and sort of change up the armors and color, it's like, that's a good way of doing it. Like, just having, like, the Tundra versions of them.
They also announced a new Elder Dragon, Velkhana, which is, like, this big, like, thing that has, like, it looks like it's got, like, ice, like, almost,
it's
like, frozen
very
to
generic
its wings.
ice dragon.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much.
Like, that was the one thing that I was sort of like after seeing Xeno'jiiva, right? Like, yeah, it's still a dragon, but like it's like this sort of energy power sort of dragon. It looks like almost alien-like. I was like, oh, that's cool. A lot of the Elder Dragons are going to start to look like really different and unique, where it's just like, oh, look, it's just a giant ice dragon from Game of Thrones.
I mean, he still looks cool to me.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't look cool. It's just like, I guess I want some more variation, because we've had like sea monster, like, what was it, Durmong or whatever he was from 3, right? You know, Cedius and stuff, where there's these long serpent-like things. Just seeing another Kushleora, but it's icy.
I just realized
it's a little bit for me. Just if there was something that I would complain about Iceborne, because it looks like super, super fun. I like the new grapple hook mechanic. It's just like, I don't know, the Elder Dragon left me with like just another dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what else would you do for having an Elder Dragon like that in a nice area type of thing?
Yeah.
I guess that's true. There is sort of looking at that, but I mean, we could do another mountain-esque type, right? Like a glacier, like what we think is a glacier, but is actually like a creature or a turtle.
Oh, like an ice variant of like oh shit, what's it called?
I always forget his name.
The lava thing.
Yeah.
Kovatarov?
Yeah.
Kulatara, yeah. And like that's the thing. Like I understand that trying to create something that big in a short time frame and make it not a repetitive, because that's the problem with the big lava monster, is that he's very repetitive and all we do is just shoot ballista at him for like the most of the fight.
Mm-hmm. That still looks interesting, and I still can't wait to get it. They did announce also a few different ways you can get this. They're offering a physical version that comes with both the main game and the expansion. Though the expansion is just a code, so
yeah, well,
but yeah, it is what it is. There's a and then you can get the expansion obviously digitally, pre-ordered on whatever store you use, except PC, because PC's not getting it till later.
Yeah. Well, they put a lot of effort into the console versions, mm-hmm. and the PC is a port. It's not not like an actual version that they actually play on. So
yeah, they've been working hard to make the PC version catch up, though, because there's a lot to catch
Didn't Behemoth like come out a couple of months ago on PC?
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not exactly sure. One we'll probably just go right through is the Mario Maker 2 Direct. I was, after watching it, a little more excited about it, but then they announced the whole like multiplayer thing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But the main thing that everybody's upset about with that is that you can't do online multiplayer with your friends. You can't matchmake.
About that, I think they did announce that they are going to include ways to play with your friends in future updates. So they are aware of like the criticisms they got for that, and they're like, yeah, we're going to include that later. It
just seems kind of funny that they had to be told that people don't like this.
Here's the thing, I feel like Nintendo, in terms of its design mindset, is very Japanese based, and I don't think Japan is super into the whole idea of like online gaming to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Like when if they want to play with friends, they just have rarely anyone nearby they can play with locally.
That's why
remember their mobile gaming market is like crazy big. So
well, that too, yeah.
A lot of the multiplayer aspects are usually focused on their mobile games rather than sit at home playing in front of a TV type of game.
Well, the reason that they gave for not doing that is that they were afraid that playing with friends would affect the ranking system that's going to be in the game, which why don't you just make it so it doesn't affect the ranking system?
Exactly.
Yeah.
People were
or
like
have
immediately
a separate
like
ranking system for friends or something.
People were immediately like, just don't put the ranking system in the matchmaking. Like, this is not a hard concept.
It was probably just so that they had to like maybe work around with it if it's already implemented. Maybe that's why they said they had to do it in the future update.
Yeah. Well, in either way, like it's a little more advanced than the original game, which I like. I like the fact that you can actually download stages and play them offline. Because it would be a little ridiculous if you couldn't do that, especially with it being on the Switch. But yeah, I'm not going to get into all the creation stuff because if you want to know about that, they go in depth on that.
There's a lot of cool new stuff in there. That's all we have to say.
It's interesting because there's a parallel to something that we'll probably talk about later on when we're talking about the Nintendo Direct, and I can't remember who I was watching that brought up the point is like, where is the next level for like 2D Marios, 2D Zeldas and stuff like that, and like places where now 3D is sort of like the standard, right? The 3D platformers are standard, so creating makers for people to create their own levels is probably that next step. Like, you can call it lazy by Nintendo's part, saying, fuck it, we're just not going to make any more 2D Marios because we'll just let you guys do it for us. And I think that's actually probably the best evolution of 2D side scrollers, like other than like indie titles and stuff like that. But
it's funny, like this whole thing reminds me of one thing that ProtoDude told me, that Capcom has continually kept the patent on the level design thing that they made for Mega Man Universe. Even though the game never came out, they still own the patent for it, and they've maintained their ownership of that. So people think they're going to implement that creation tool at some point into Mega Man or whatever games they have, because Universe wasn't a big deal at the time, because for a lot of people outside of Mega Man, but now obviously with stuff like Mario Maker, it's a little more of a bigger deal that if they did that. So
you know what that kind of reminds me, and sorry, this
ahead.
is a bit of a tangent, but it reminds me of like Nintendo having the patent for the whole insanity system from Eternal Darkness.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they still have the patent rights to that.
Which is funny, because, like, is that not the same thing that they did in Clock Tower?
Well, here's the thing. It's more so a patent referring to, like, things that, like, directly, like, break the fourth wall type of stuff, you know, or, like, you know, that kind of thing. Like, there's still sanity things that happen in games, you know, afterwards, but it's more so just, at most you would get, like, blurry screens or something, like something like your TV all of a sudden being on mute, even though it's, like, an HD TV, so why is there a CRT, you know, mute display on there? But
yeah, or that fission mailed from like Metal Gear Solid 2, right? Where like you're halfway through combat and then the screen just goes into like this little corner, and it's like you failed, and you're like, wait, what? I'm still fighting though.
I'm thinking a lot of
like,
indie games kind of do all sorts of stuff too. So I don't know, maybe it's not as restrictive, but it's just something that reminded me of. But anyway,
the other big game thing that came out not too long before E3 was a new gameplay trailer of Death Stranding came out, and they released they announced the release date too, which is I guess near the end of this year. I think
November, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I was originally really interested in it, and now I'm not. I really am starting to say, you know what, other people are gonna like this game. There's just something about it that just feels like it's going to be this big, empty, symbolic game. Like, there's just going to be, like, all types of really weird shit, and then it will be like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, like, peeking, but except it's like, it's Hideo Kojima, like, giggling and laughing at us as we're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, and, like, that's, I don't know, I think I guess I play more stories that have more of a structure, and I understand that he's got probably like it's one of those things where there'll be like thousands upon thousands of YouTube videos dissecting like small like 15-second cutscenes, you know, but
that's
like,
gonna happen.
I don't know, like after watching the gameplay I'm just like what I joked about it being a backpack simulator is starting to really feel like that.
I love how, like, they added some, like, obvious, like, Metal Gear shit to it. Like, the sneaking around and shit. The ladder, the fucking ladder that you can just, like, spring out anytime, I guess. Maybe you can't, but that's what it seemed like. It's like I was saying to Blondie and STR before we got here, is like, I feel like somebody's gonna find a way to break the game when the game first comes out using the fucking ladder. Like, somebody will find a way to skip past a bunch of the game or something, in day one. I just feel like that's something that's going to happen.
It depends on where you can probably use it, I feel. And how you can use it.
Yeah, like, obviously, you probably, like, it would be a big oversight if you could use it against invisible walls.
Yeah.
You know, like that type of stuff, right? Like, I'm sure they're doing ample amount of testing when it comes to that. Like, in certain quality assurance places, their entire job is to take the character model and hop around the geometry and trying to force themselves out of it and trying to figure out every single way. Now, obviously, it still happens. Like in Resident Evil 2, you know, you get grabbed by a zombie on the staircase, and if you're able to, like, get away, it will push you away and put you, like, weirdly parallel to the ground, but, like, hovering. It's, like, there's so many very, very unique strategies when it comes to out-of-bouncing that I would think that they would have extensively tested this ladder system to not allow you to just, like, GTFO from, like, the entire set piece, because Kojima does not like event skipping too much.
So SCR, what do you think of Stranding Marked for Death?
I don't know. I didn't watch the trailer.
All right.
Well,
the one little thing I want to mention before we move on, I didn't know this got announced until I started looking on Xbox's YouTube channel when I was doing my notes. There's a ukulele 2D platformer game coming out.
Yeah, that did get announced, I think just before E3.
Yeah, Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, and everyone in the comments is calling it Donkey Kong Ukulele.
I mean, it actually pretty much is. It plays a lot. It looks like it plays very similarly to Donkey Kong Country, but specifically the newer ones.
They showed it a bit on Nintendo Treehouse.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah.
So it's not. I haven't watched a trailer of it. So it's not. It's pseudo 3D. It's not like an actual 3D.
It's 2.5D.
Yeah,
2.5D. Okay. Well, I mean, I really like the new Donkey Kong Country games. Like, I think that they're really neat.
I'll probably enjoy this more than I enjoyed the first ukulele game, and that's not to say that that I didn't give it a try, but like there's just some like Banjo-Kazooie's a collectathon, but holy crap, like ukulele put some shit in places that
it reminds me more of Tooie. Banjo-Tooie was like the first time when I was like, okay, there's a lot of stuff to do in these big areas that don't have a lot to do in them.
The thing that
like
really
they look pretty, but like that's it. It's more of a visual thing than it actually is interacting with the world.
The thing that really sucked for me is when I thought I beat the first level and then you had to expand it and it was longer. I was like, oh my god, I still have to play this level. I'm just like, I want to do something else.
Well, you can. You can always just collect whatever pages you want in that level and just move on to the next. You can do that. It's just that if you're going for completion, then it's like, okay, now I got to do this.
Yeah.
Thing. And I guess.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, as someone who actually did like ukulele, I know the initial ukulele is pretty divisive, but them going to more of a traditional 2.5D platformer is not a bad move. They still have all these assets and engine from making ukulele that they're like, you know what, and we can quickly make this and it'll be something new as well.
I do like that the trailer shows off they incorporate some of their moves and stuff from ukulele into like a 2D thing, which personally I like. I kind of prefer, but we'll just have to see what happens when it comes out. Like, I'm probably going to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Well, like when it comes to open world games, specifically like collectathon games now, I want to say that Odyssey has really sort of pushed the idea of how they're supposed to be. Like, just like you create relatively big sized worlds, but you pack them full of shit. Like, just crazy amounts. Like, it is that joke that you take 5 steps in Mario Odyssey and you get a moon for participation, right? Like, it seems silly that it's like it doesn't feel like you aren't earning certain things, like in Mario 64, right? Like, it gives you a little hint and then you have to figure out what the hint is. Mm-hmm. But this was the only thing that I ever felt about ukulele, and it's the same thing that some of the other rare titles that were similar to it after Banjo-Kazooie, like Donkey Kong Country 64 and Banjo-Tooie, where they make these wonderfully well-detailed big worlds for the time, obviously. Like, you look back now and you're going to be like, yeah, polygons in Donkey Kong 64 aren't amazing, but it just felt like there wasn't enough to do, or that what I was doing sort of mattered in the grand scheme of things, where if you take those aspects, like the very high detailed and interesting locations, put it and shift the perspective to 2.5D, you can, like you said, you can reuse those assets. You can really make polished levels where like you can have hidden things behind certain things, and it doesn't feel like I need to get the camera angle just right or position myself on a platform in like this location to hop to the next one and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't need to be crazy platformy in 3D if you don't really understand the spatial awareness, because that seems to be the biggest problem with a lot of people with 3D platformers. And whenever I watch streams and stuff like that, people's judge of distance and other things like that seem to be like the biggest factor on getting to certain things, where you're just like, oh, I got that star immediately, where I watched someone fail at getting it for like 5 to 10 minutes just because of spatial awareness.
Or depth perception,
Yeah, depth perception, yeah.
My only concern for the new ukulele is that I guess it's more so, well, maybe not a concern, it's more so just the fact that I find that they're doing a more size going 2.5D, and if that's their main focus, then I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just that in ukulele there were kind of sections like that. It was mostly the minecart levels, which were kind of like one of the low points for most people in that game. So I just find it funny that they're shifting for the next ukulele game to be a 2.5D side scroller when the side scrolling minecart stuff in the actual ukulele game wasn't all that great.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm just going to chime in because we're spending too much time talking about that game.
Unless we get any fans of it.
That's true. I do want to briefly also talk about the gaming related stuff at the Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. This will be very brief. Main thing they announced is PS4 and Xbox One controller support's coming to tvOS because that's where their streaming platform is going to be for games. Some other information that I felt was unnecessary. You can now track your period in the health app.
I mean, yeah, that definitely pertains to us, I'm sure. Good,
Bye,
good,
SCR.
good to let us,
Bye.
good to let us know that, Zero.
Everything all right? Okay, all right.
Please continue.
Other than their usual stuff like incorrectly getting the amount of people who adopt Android versus iOS and other things like trying to replace sign in with Google with sign in with Apple, which is a terrible idea. Don't do it. They actually announced a new Mac Pro, which everybody has been waiting for, and is actually a PC, like a customizable PC. So you might be able to play games on it.
Like 10-year-old games.
And the only other thing they really talked about is that I cared about was ARKit is now being made available so that you don't need a game engine to use it. For those of you who don't know, ARKit is their thing because Apple's all about augmented reality instead of virtual reality right now. Before you had to use a game engine for it, but now they've made it so that people who make non-game related stuff can use the AR technology. Didn't announce anything more about their AR game experiences though. They just kind of talked more about the technology, and that was about it. The last thing I have down is the Pokemon stuff, because there was a Pokemon press conference and a Pokemon Direct. Again, we'll just go quickly through these. They announced, sort of, a remake of Mewtwo Strike Back called Mewtwo Strike Back Evolution. So they're remaking the first Pokemon movie.
Okay.
And Detective Pikachu's coming to Switch. The game.
It's probably smart, especially with the movie that just came out, and
Yeah, exactly.
and then obviously it's become incredibly popular now. The 3DS is at this point. Can we just state right now it's dead? The 3DS is just dead at this
Pretty
point.
much. Unless you're
Pretty
limited run
much, yeah.
games, but that's later.
Limited Run
Yeah.
Games announced one 3DS game, which
Yeah, but like how many of those things are like either been in development for probably the past year and a half or 2 years, or they're just filler shovelware stuff.
Yeah.
Like I would just say that the Switch is now taking over that platform.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that's obviously their main focus, so.
Yeah, like Nintendo's last first party game on there was the remake of Luigi's Mansion, right?
I think so,
It was
yeah.
mostly ports. I think it was that and, like, Yoshi's Woolly World and Kirby's Epic Yarn, I think, also got a 3DS version.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The main thing that I was interested in that they announced during the press conference was Pokemon Home, which is their new cloud service that's supposed to work with Pokemon Go, Pokemon Bank, and both both Pokemon Let's Go and Pokemon Sword and Shield. They mentioned some of the functionality that they're trying to make it work with games. I guess they're trying to make it work with the games up as far back as 3rd gen. So I don't know how that's going to work, but it's basically an upgraded Pokemon Bank. But they didn't talk about price or anything, because for those of you who don't know, Pokemon Bank is a subscription service. You pay $5 a year, but it's still a subscription service. And it's basically for transferring your Pokemon from one game into another or storing them in the cloud. So we'll have to wait to see more about that.
Just since we have quite a few people in here that do play Pokemon, but like me, don't probably play it like crazy amount, how much do you guys usually use the bank, if at all? Because I've never used it.
I don't think these guys have played a Pokemon game past like 4th gen.
Okay.
With me, it's not since Gen 2. Like,
that's
I
the
have
thing, is,
the remake of the third gen game, but
I gave you and Scott each a remake. Of
I
the
haven't played it yet, but I probably will sometime.
Yeah.
And I've played the remake of Soul Silver, so there are like some third gen.
So, like I said, fourth
stuff.
gen.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But, like, that's the thing is, like, I mean, there are people out there that probably use this service, like, people that are really into Pokemon.
I mean, I like it because I caught a shit ton of stuff in, like, Black and White, but, like, I had to get Pokemon Bank to transfer it into X and Y when that came out, for example, so...
It's just, like, I'm interested in this thing after finally seeing... like actual footage of this Pokemon, because I was worried that seeing like Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, I was like, oh, this feels underwhelming for what a console.
Are you talking about Sword and Shield? Because we're not even close to talking about that yet.
Oh, I thought that's what we were.
We're not even
close
close to
about
that
the bank because I was just like, oh, so I was like,
we're not that far yet.
Okay, well, we'll get there because I've got opinions about it.
The only thing I heard about when this thing went out, because I didn't see it when it was live, is everybody was talking about Pokemon Sleep. Which is
people
the
kind of went nuts over
Pokemon
that.
Go game that watches you sleep.
Yeah, just make sure you get your 8 hours every day. It's very important. I haven't gotten enough sleep today. Maybe Pokemon Sleep can help me with that.
Maybe it will. Maybe it will help all of us.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee that data is encrypted and not being sent back to Niantic. But that's what everybody's thing is like, no, now they can track when we sleep. Well, it's like, don't turn it on.
I don't know, that Kinect is looking shifty at me.
The only other thing worth a damn that they talked about was there's a new mobile game coming out called Pokemon Masters, which is just multiplayer Pokemon battles. You know that thing that they took like over a year to put into Pokemon Go? They're making a separate game for that now. It looks interesting. And you can battle any trainer from the franchise in it, apparently.
Okay, so it's sort of like the Battle Royale towers from Black and White 2, right? I think that
kind of. It's like a, as far as I know, it's like a standard Pokemon game, but the only point of the game is battling trainers. Like there's no actual like journey or anything.
Yeah. No, well, that's what the battle tower technically was in Black and White too.
But yeah, that's basically it from press conference. And then there was a Pokemon Direct just before. It was basically all focused on the 8th gen games. They announced new Pokemon, Wooloo, Ghostlyflower, Eldegoss, Dreadnought, and Corviknight, which all look like.
Am I the only one that wants Wooloo to, like, evolve into this, like, brutish, like, swole sheep man that is able to punch?
Like a big, like, buff sheep man with an angry face?
From like normal type to fighting type, and it's like this Scottish sheep that just beats the shit out of people.
So
like,
you want it to evolve into a Barnyard Commando? Like those old action figures from the 90s?
Yes, please. Everything. All of that right now, please. He won't. I know he won't, but still, it would be really funny. It's sort of like when that panda Pokemon turns into like a Yakuza member.
Pancham. Yeah.
Pancham,
I'm training one of those in my Pokemon Y Let's Play right now.
You know, I guess I really like, it's like, look at this cute little thing, and then it turns, or like even like Teddy Ursa into Ursaring. I really like those. Look how cute it is, and then it turns into this ferocious
when it evolves,
monster.
maybe I should call it Pandakuza.
Yeah, Pandakuza. There you go.
God damn it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Should I keep that name? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
The big thing they announced, though, was Dynamax, which is the new gimmick ability they've added to the game, where you just make your Pokemon giant. Like, giant. To the point where they had to make all the gyms big stadiums so you could Dynamax in gym fights.
I'm cool with that. I like, this is the first time where I felt like when I entered a gym stadium that I was actually fighting in like a tournament. Because a lot of the other times you go in and it's like, oh, why am I in a garden? Why is like, I understand it's thematic and stuff like that, but at least in the more recent Pokemon games, the gyms have actually felt like unique. I don't want to call them dungeons because they're still relatively simple, but I've never really felt like a Pokemon master. Like I'm actually like a tournament battler, right? The
one that felt the most like an actual dungeon to me was and this will be relevant to everybody, is the 8th gym in Gold and Silver. The the dragon gym where you had to move shit around and like figure out a maze and shit. That actually felt the most like a dungeon to me.
Yeah, you could sort of say like a mini dungeon, like Sabrina's thing in the original Pokemon. They've got multiple rooms and teleporters that take you to certain spots and stuff like that. Like I like a little bit of puzzle platforming when it comes to this type of stuff, but the game is looking like, I really like the openness of it. For the first time, like the routes don't feel like these like linear pathways. It looks like, guess what? You can venture halfway across, like out into the grassland fields and stuff like that. Like, I guess they've taken probably a little notch from Breath of the Wild, just sort of like opening up the areas for you to explore. Now, that could fall into the category of, look at all this big space, but there's nothing in it, so you're just wandering or riding around on your Pokemon. But hell, any excuse to ride Arcanine around is good enough for me.
What was that, Blondie?
I mean, there's still probably going to be like, you know, besides all the Pokemon, there's still going to be like people and little items and things you can probably find in there.
Yeah, like a regular RPG's open worldy areas.
The other big thing that I want to mention is they're adding raiding to Pokemon. So what that means is if you and 3 or 4 other people can find special spots where you can basically battle against a Dynamaxed Pokemon, one of the big Pokemon. And how a raid works is one person out of the group gets the Dynamax. So you really have to decide who is going to use that ability between what you have. So I like to think of it like the swarm battles from like X and Y, but instead of you being swarmed, you're the swarm against the big Pokemon. And there's also a special Pokeball to catch Dynamax Pokemon. It looks like a fucking beach ball that you just throw.
I like the double-handed over the
like,
head
hold
throw,
on, let me
though.
just fucking throw this Pokeball. We have yet to find out if you can volley it, but yeah, that's interesting. They're actually adding like a multiplayer like capture mechanic to the game, which I think is really neat. But I can just see like there being like these like events, Dynamax events, where people are going to be like trying to catch legendaries who are Dynamaxed. Oh man, CJ, I can't wait to do raids on Articuno.
Yeah, let's do it. This will be your first foray into raiding.
No. Monster Hunter has raids, kind of.
I guess that's true,
I guess, yeah.
Technically.
It has one.
But I mean, like, that's the reason why Monster Hunter and 14 have similar, like, they actually have a crossover is because they play very similarly, right? Like, one monster has choreographed moves and you don't want to get hit by them unless otherwise stated, right? So.
They also, one of the last things they showed off in the Pokemon Direct is they showed what the legendaries, Zacian and Zamazenta, I think was what they're called, they look like.
The cover Pokemon, basically, right?
Yeah. The Shield one looks really cool and actually made me consider switching my pre-order to Shield, but I also kind of like the Sword guy because he's just a dog with a sword in his mouth.
Yeah, he's like Fenrir. He's just like straight up the Fenrir of age.
Or Repeat from Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah, exactly.
Blondie,
any dog with a sword in its mouth. Isn't
Blondie,
there one
I feel
in Dark
like if
Souls
you get
too?
this game and you catch Legendary, you're probably just going to call it Repeat.
Most likely.
But yeah, Legendary dogs again, which is kind of neat.
So are you actually going to pick this one up? Are you Blondie and Scott? Like, or because Zero just stated that you guys really haven't played a Pokemon since like probably as late as 4th generation, and we're on 8. Is it 8th or 9th now?
We're on 8th, right?
We're at 8th.
I mean,
okay.
I would feel like I'd be skipping a lot just to get to the latest one, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't be able to catch up anytime soon. So
yeah,
it's one of those. I don't know, maybe. And I probably would get the sword version because, Repeat. So,
SCR, I know that
I tank as a paladin, so I'm all for Shield.
SCR, I know with all of us, I think you've played the least Pokemon. What about you? Are you interested in Sword and Shield at all?
No,
not really. I didn't think so.
I mean, from when he was just sitting there not talking, I imagine, yeah.
The very last thing they announced is the release date, which is November 15th, and that's a global release date. Pokemon's been having global release dates since, I think, 6th gen. So, so that's coming out November 15th. I have pre-ordered Sword, as well as a ton of other games that we're about to talk about, because now that's all the pre-E3 shit I wrote down. Unless you guys have anything else you want to mention.
That was pre-E3. That was 40 minutes of pre-E3.
Was that 40 minutes? That wasn't 40
minutes. Yes, it was.
40 minutes.
Oh, fuck. Okay, well, E3 is going to take a while.
No shit.
Here we come, Kingdom Hearts. We're coming for you.
You know what's not going to take a while? Talking about EA. The only thing I have written down is Star Wars! Oh my god!
Yeah, it was... Wow.
Whew. That whole 5 minutes that Anthem got.
2, actually.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
And it was just an interview. They didn't show anything.
So...
Apex Legends got more screen time than
yeah,
Anthem,
pretty much.
You know, and it's lame ducking too.
So they showed Star Wars, and the first thing that we noticed, because I streamed most of the E3 conferences these years, one of the first things we noticed was Forrest Whitaker, at least his image is in the game.
The character from...
And the main character that you play as, our first reaction was, "What's wrong with your face?" Because his face looks really fucking weird.
I feel like that's just kind of like the uncanny valley of like having a video game guy face rendered like that, you know? Or he's based off of an actor, isn't he?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure. But they showed 15 minutes of actual gameplay of the new Star Wars game. It looks interesting. It seems like it takes place after a little bit after Episode 3, not like a ton after, but enough to where.
So
Rebel
Darth Vader is still young in his new super suit.
He's still crispy, I guess.
Yeah. You can still smell the bacon. Yes. But like if you, I don't know. I guess there's just something about Star Wars that I remember. It was like this big thing for me when I was a kid. Like I really, really liked it. But as more and more, like, I guess maybe it's just because the franchise has been like dragged through the mud. Whether it's people hating on sequels or just hating on any game that comes out, because not a lot of Star Wars games really have as much staying power as something like Battlefront 2, or I could even still say that things like Super Star Wars on SNES and stuff like that were considered good games at the time. I haven't played them in like eons, so I don't know.
They're hard as fuck.
Yeah. But like that's the thing is like I guess maybe there's just sort of a fatigue to this stuff where it's like EA's just trying to flex their look, we got Star Wars, and no one gives a shit anymore.
Well, it's their last game that they're doing because Disney's pulling their license after what happened with Battlefront 1 and 2.
God.
Disney's not happy.
So they only managed to make like 3 games.
Yeah, let's just say Disney's not happy with all the backlash that they got from the first 2 Battlefronts, so they're pulling out from EA, and they're going to give probably another company a chance, which sucks because last year they announced that a whole bunch of Star Wars game projects were being worked on, and now pretty much all those are probably going to get canceled because EA owns
one of them definitely got canceled. It was the one that Visceral Games was working on.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and Disney has acknowledged the oversaturation of Star Wars. In fact, they said that after Episode 9, they're not going to make another Star Wars movie till 2022 at least. Like, they said that's the earliest that they're going to do another one, because...
That's still like 2 years.
3 years,
even then, it'll probably just be like, what, another spin-off?
No, because Episode 9 comes out at the end of the year.
It comes out in December.
Yeah,
2022. They're probably talking 2022 December, not like...
Okay.
Like 3 years from now.
The thing is like, if they continue to do movies, their thought is they're not going to do it every year like they've been doing. They're going to spread them out if they're going to continue doing them. So, because they've seen the backlash that happened, especially with Solo. Because Solo, I still like that movie, but a lot of people didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They boycotted it specifically because of they didn't like Last Jedi, which I loved. So. I don't know. I'm not going to get too much more into talking about Disney and Star Wars because the only thing
it's just polarizing right now because like so many people have their like most people at least know what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Like anybody from our generation and our parents' generation, like they know who Luke Skywalker is. They've seen Darth Vader's helmet. It's very similar to like how in the United States, Mario is more recognizable than Donald Trump. And you'd say, like, how is that even possible? That's your president of the United States, but he is. Like, that's just how it is, right? So that's why it's so polarizing half the time. So
before we move on, SCR, do you have anything to say about Star Wars?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you feel outside of this whole thing. It's just the stuff I guess we've been talking about hasn't been that interesting to you.
To actually talk about the game, I think it's interesting enough because it's going for like a whole like kind of like an Uncharted type of thing where it's like you're doing a bunch of climbing and platforming, and then you have combat, which is I don't want to say Souls-like because then it's like, oh, this is the Dark Souls of Star Wars, but no, it is kind of like like that.
I can see the what's the fucking world? The comparisons, I guess, with
familiarity.
Familiarity with stuff like Uncharted and Dark Souls,
which is funny because that Star Wars game that got canceled had the writer from Uncharted.
Yeah,
so,
it's like they're low key remaking Shadows of the Empire on the N64. Just way better polished.
I only have 2 other things about EA. The other thing I wrote was Apex Legends still exists, guys.
Yeah, it's still around.
Talk about a game that lost all its momentum. Like, holy shit. Like,
well, it was labeled as the Fortnite killer, and then everybody realized very quickly that it's like, well, they need to create content that is either equal or better than the Fortnite content that is already available. And that was like the biggest problem with Apex Legends.
Okay,
it's like they couldn't keep up with that train. They couldn't keep that hype train going.
What were you trying to say, Blondie?
I mean, I'm sorry, but when you said Fortnite killer, I'm just like, oh, good. It's just like all the Halo killers that people try to make. And it's just like
anything followed by the word killer.
Yeah, like Battleborn was going to be the Overwatch.
I know it's a buzz. Oh my god! I know it's a buzz term, but I just hate that because it's like you can't kill off like the top popular thing of that genre. It's more so, yeah, you're competing, you're in that same market, but it's not you're not going to overthrow it.
Yeah,
like,
and that's
sorry,
probably
I just
the problem
hate
with
that.
marketing.
I just hate that term.
No, like, and I agree with you, Blondie. Like, I understand that is probably the reason. It's because they force that marketing feeling of like, oh yeah, it's the next big thing since Fortnite. It's even better, you know, like that type of stuff. When instead of just concentrating on showing us how cool the game is, they have to constantly compare themselves to a game that, I guess, in this case now is just a better game.
I mean,
I don't play Fortnite, but like I understand that it's impactful to the gaming industry.
I don't even play Battle Royale stuff unless it counts Tetris 99.
Tetris 99, the best battle royale ever made.
Can we go back to Star Wars? The droid was cute. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, the droid was adorable. I did write that down in my notes, but I didn't want to dread too much more on Star Wars because I think
that's the only thing we really have to talk about.
The only thing, anyway, I'll segue. I'll make the segue. The only thing that I was semi-interested in from the EA press conference was the fact that Island Living, Sims 4
I was about
expansion.
to say, I was about to make a reference to Best of the Worst and be like, CJ, tell us about the new Sims 4 expansion.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I haven't, like, delved deep into it because I play Sims 4 in, like, chunks. It's one of those things where I like to just play it just as, like, a little getaway from my own life, I guess, in a sort of sense. So every once in a while when they shadow drop stuff like this one seems pretty cool. Though... if there was one game that was island related that has to do with construction and everything, which we'll talk about later, is way more interesting than The Sims 4 Island Living. But yeah, it's just another Sims 4 expansion. It's probably going to be overpriced and it's not going to have a lot to do. At least the new areas and like having your own island seems like a really interesting thing. But it's the problem that a lot of Sims 4 content, like, or update or game content or expansions have, is they fit this like little niche audience and they don't expand the game itself to a scale where it really feels like you're getting a proper expansion, right? Like even the latest expansion that came out a couple of months ago, the I don't even remember the name of it now, but it was like the Showbiz one where you could become an actor and stuff like that. It's like, look at all this new crap. Yeah, it was like a movie thing. But like, look at all this new crap, but half of that movie shit doesn't fit in a normal household. What if I don't want to be my character to be an actor? Right? And that's the problem with these types of things. That I understand that they're helping the niche markets want it, but then, I T-minus 5 minutes after playing the island living expansion, I don't want to be on an island anymore, and I just make a character in a regular suburb.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was EA.
Wait.
I
have
what
two
about
things.
Sports?
Go ahead.
One, just because I'm the obligatory sports guy, at least among this set of people, it is still weird to me to see the Cleveland Browns featured in a Madden game and they're not getting the shit kicked out of them by the other team. So that's one.
All right.
Two, what happened to EA's indie stuff? EA Originals, I think it was called?
Yeah,
That's
what
true.
the fuck?
Yeah, because last year they did what was it? Yarn, that Yarn game, the sequel.
Unravel 2.
Yeah. Unravel 2, and then something else I think they showed last year as well. I don't know if that came out or what, but
I still remember how nervous the Unravel
maybe
guy
they
was.
just have nothing to show.
because they didn't really have a
they're
conference. They just sort of did a pre-E3 thing showing Star Wars and a few other things, basically.
Anything else we want to talk about, or should we move on?
I think we can move on.
Sports ball.
Sports.
Battlefield, if you still play it.
Apparently,
And
it's
if you care about
it's
Anthem-
in Chapter 4. I didn't even know that there was like 3 other chapters of Battlefield 5.
And if you care about Anthem, fuck you, apparently, says EA. Because they didn't say anything.
I feel so bad for BioWare. Like, I really do.
I mean, yeah, they're on life support. I think at this point they're on watch. Because if Anthem does really, really bad, we know what's happening. EA is gonna give them the old Sudoku treatment.
I don't think it did. I don't think it initially didn't sell bad. It's just that
Sudoku is the puzzle. I think you mean seppuku.
I know. That's
okay.
That's
All
the
right.
joke.
I know that you're probably joking,
You
but I was
suck,
like,
Bane.
for like that one guy in the audience that's like, oh, Zero said that. Yeah, I'll say Sudoku, and then like someone gets like really offended by it.
Anyways, moving on to one of the more surprising conferences, Microsoft. They started off with a bang by showing more of the Outer Worlds, the Fallout game made by the original Fallout creators.
in New Vegas. So it's like if you didn't like 76, you're probably going to play this instead.
If you don't like Bethesda nowadays, don't worry, Obsidian's got you covered.
Or how they're handling Fallout, yeah, because this is basically like a Fallout-esque game, but like in a more Outer World theme, like in terms of like sci-fi, that kind of stuff.
So we're all in an agreement that Microsoft Flight Simulator was like the best thing of the conference.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh
Absolutely,
my god!
Right? Just making
Did you
sure.
see that plane?
Do you see all the buttons in the cockpit? I am stoked.
One of my favorite things is the little screen, like the preview screen, is the original Microsoft Flight Simulator graphics.
I was going to say, I actually played like original Microsoft Flight Simulator way back when, so I actually am kind of interested in this.
Yeah, I also dabbled in one of the like not the original one, but like it was like one of them that came out like 20 years ago or something like that. I think it was 3D, but it was like early 3D.
Mm-hmm.
But it's neat to see them actually do a new flight sim. And it's like, oh, if you want a super realistic actual flight simulator, well, here you go.
Well, it's cool because like some of the other like simulator games have been either like indie titles. There's that one company that's like Farming Simulator 2019 that's got $7,000 for the DLC or whatever.
Or a lot of indie ones are like tongue in cheek about it because they're just like silly physics-based, wacky flailing type of simulators.
Mm-hmm. To see like something from, ages past, but also like modernized and kind of interesting. I was quite surprised. I was not being like, oh god. Like it's not like they spent like 20 minutes on talking about Goat Simulator or something, or like something like you said, Blondie, like something in that weird physics-based weirdness.
Just a couple other things they showed off. Ninja Theory's new game, Bleeding Edge, which is kind of like Anarchy Reigns-ish.
I guess it's a comparison, yeah.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. We got a
it
release date.
It is like hero-based type of game, but it's more melee focused, so it's not quite a melee.
Yeah.
It's not a hero shooter, but
yeah. We got a release date for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, February 11th, 2020.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I need to finish Ori and the Blind Forest.
You should.
Well,
it's a good game.
Still got 6.5 months. So.
They also announced Minecraft Dungeons, aka when Minecraft tries to do Diablos.
You know, I am not gonna lie, it kind of looks fun.
It looks alright.
It looks alright.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's got the Minecraft name on it, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, that doesn't usually make or break it. It's way better than like the Telltale Minecraft story mode things. I would rather have it something like a top-down clicker. Like, that seems like a smart use of the IP. It has a unique graphical style that fits in with like that type of spelunking, right? So I'm all for it. Give me a Diablo Minecraft. It'll be better than Diablo Immortal or whatever it's goddamn called.
Diablo Craft. Aggro Crag.
You guys have phones, right?
Yeah.
God damn it.
We'll get to the mobile
We can
stuff
all
later.
agree that
One of the
games are
more
best.
actually surprising things they showed off, they're making a new Blair Witch game.
I thought this was an Outlast game at first.
Yeah, because of the camera.
A lot of us did. Because of the camera, yeah. Like you said, Blondie. But like as soon as it got as soon as they said what it was, my phone blew up because Brad had to tell me how excited he was because he loves Blair Witch.
Of course.
So
But it's like as soon as you saw that guy...
Which Blair Witch? Does he like the first one?
the
or does he
whole
like
franchise.
The
He loves the whole franchise.
Oh, okay.
He's one of those.
Most people aren't even aware there's any more besides the first movie, so it's like...
Yeah. There is that.
To the point where he was in a Twitter conversation with the creator of the films to make more of them. And the creator of the film's like, nobody wants this. And he's like, I do. And they kept arguing on Twitter. Yes, this happened.
When the creator of the
person.
film says, fuck off, we're not doing it, take the hint.
Yeah.
Hey, you're getting the game.
So, probably the thing that a lot of people want to see that I definitely was interested in is they finally showed more Cyberpunk 2077. With a
100% more Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
Yes.
the surprise reveal of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, the best game of the conference, Keanu Reeves.
He looks so realistic.
Well, I mean, he is actually in the game as a character, and then he came out on stage as like, and it was like a genuine like, yeah, I'm pumped to be in this game and stuff. It was super cool.
You're breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking.
Yeah, you're all breathtaking.
I love Keanu Reeves. He's great.
Well,
He's
that's
made
the thing, is
talk
like-
about a comeback for his career, though.
Well, not even that. Like, this is the first time, and this is something about certain people when it comes to these conferences, that yes, Keanu Reeves is a celebrity and people like him, but he's got such a genuine personality that when he's up there and he's giving off his speech and everything like that, he doesn't feel like some corporate guy that comes out and is like, yeah, isn't that right, Yoshida-san? Yeah, that's great, eh? Look at this. You can use your ATB. Like, shit like that. That's like, it's not personable. It doesn't feel real, right? It doesn't feel like he's excited for the game. He's just putting on an act.
Yeah.
And that's what usually happens at these conferences. It feels so inorganic. And then you have someone, Keanu, like, and I understand, yes, he's a celebrity, he's an actor, he's able to inject emotions into things that normally may not jostle those things, but still, like, he comes out and he's genuinely excited. He's playing with the crowd. He's just excited to be there. You can tell that he's happy to be.
You
on
could tell he
stage.
cares about the project. Like,
Yeah.
he really is invested in it. So,
And that's what makes this next game make me go, hey, maybe I will go into it because hell, it seems like they're putting a lot of effort into it.
I mean,
I mean, it's also CD Creates or Project Red. Sorry,
CD Projekt
that
Red.
too. I mean,
What were you gonna say, Blondie?
I mean, I was just gonna say I was interested in the game because it's like it's a cyberpunk type of thing. So I was already interested in the whole sci-fi aesthetic of it, and then to see Keanu Reeves, it's like, oh, that's a neat inclusion.
Yeah. SCR?
Are you at least,
All right.
are you at least interested in the game? Or
There is something kind of important I want to talk about, and I guess is partially controversial now. I didn't even know this was happening until Angry Joe, of all people, mentioned it in a video he did.
I mean, it's Angry Joe.
They showed gameplay of a gameplay trailer for Battletoads, finally. And of course, I'm really stoked, and I think it looks really great, but apparently a lot of people think it doesn't look good. Like, a lot of people are saying it looks like a Flash game, which I'm like, no? Like, I've seen this art style for a ton of games, like, within the last 10 years. And it's not, I mean, it's certainly not original at this point, but it's like, there's plenty, like, this is not a new concept.
I think
I don't know why people are like, first of all, comparing it to Flash, when people talk Flash, they mean like Newgrounds level Flash, which a lot of the times is not that great. This shit has animation. Like, it's not...
Well, no, I would say that it definitely does have a feeling of, like, alien hominid to it a little bit. Like,
I disagree.
When we're talking about
like, it doesn't feel like
Flash
that.
games, and I understand that there's a lot of shovelware when it comes to that type of stuff. I am on your camp, Zero. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
It's like complaining about the graphics of, like, the remaster
Well, it's like
of DuckTales
if people
and stuff
complained
like that,
about...
like,
Here, let me just say this. It's like, when I see people complain about this, I'm like, so, like, there's plenty of, like, Shantae, Half Genie Hero. Does that suddenly look bad? Because it's animated in a 2D style?
It's about
like,
animation.
any of these games that are like this? Like, it's just like, why this game? Why is this game getting all the negative attention?
It's because of the way that the graphical style works. In games like in Shantae Half Genie Hero, which is the first one that didn't have a pixelated art style, it had like an actual hand-drawn animation. It's about the amount of frames that go into a lot of her animations. I know it sounds silly to bitch about how many frames go into an animation, but if you watch someone play Shantae and you watch the enemies and you watch her, she's got a very, very nice flow. Like, WayForward did an amazing job animating that game in a 3D space. Whereas in Battletoads, if you watch the animations, it seems like frames of animation are just missing.
I didn't feel that from it. Like, I didn't feel like it was missing animation. There's two things. One, it doesn't feel like it's missing those animation frames. Two, it's a beat 'em up. I don't need to see the muscles jiggling. Like, that's not necessary.
Well, here's the thing. It's going for definitely like a style that I don't think most people were expecting. And I don't think it looks bad either. It's just that I think most people were expecting like a highly detailed, like basically like arcade style, like the Battletoads arcade style of graphics. And then to go into this hand-drawn style, and it's like, I mean, I think it looks fine, but the fact that it's like going for a more cartoonish thing, I think threw some people off, and they're like, wait, why are they doing it like this type of thing?
But it's gone.
And also, just letting say this game came out 5 years ago, it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason why that isn't just because, gamers are more fickle or anything like that, or people are just bitching for no good reason. It's because we have had so many games that are similar to this, where, like, hell, some people would, as I've seen this, and this sounds awful, that they're, like, saying the things like Shaq Fu have better animations and shit. Like, that's a little much to me, personally.
SCR, do you have anything to say about that? Since you have the speedrun record in that game?
Thanks for that plug. I was just going to say, I might be misremembering this, but wasn't one of the Battletoads in Killer Instinct at some point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that probably doesn't help that you can already see like a more fleshed out traditional modern interpretation of a Battletoad, and then it seems like it's regressing. It's not really, it's just a different style.
But the thing is, as much as I like something like, say, Double Dragon Neon, if they had done that for this, it wouldn't look that good. Like, it's one of those things where, like, they picked probably the lesser of two evils when deciding what art style they wanted to go for, and they went with a 2D art style that would make more sense. Again, like, a lot of games like Shantae, Cuphead, there's tons of games. Those are extreme examples because both of those took a lot of time and animation. But I can think of a handful of other games that I'm not thinking of right now, obviously, that use an art style like that didn't need a ton of animation frames and people are complaining.
Well,
in
you
a
have to
beat 'em up.
understand, but that's the thing. In a beat 'em up, animations are incredibly important because you need to feel like there's impact. And this is the thing that Battletoads has always had, is it always has that feeling of impact. Even in the original NES days, like when you do a 3-hit combo and then you get that one big giant fist that just smacks and then makes either the enemy fly away or bounce off the back wall or whatever. This animation it caters to chaos, but not impact. And I'm like, as I'm watching the trailer more frame by frame and not like just watching it fully, I can see where some people will be like, yeah, but it doesn't feel, there just seems to be a lot of shit going on, but it doesn't feel like there's depth or feeling to it. Like, I have this screenshot right now where there's like, all right, there's a guy, an enemy that holds a mallet that looks sort of like a rabbit that is also standing on like a legless horse with 3 eyeballs and a like green dude. And you're just like, okay, that's a unique design for an enemy. But as he swings his mallet and hits your character and you just watch them like sort of hop back and flash a little bit, it doesn't really give that feeling of impact. Like, this is the thing, is every time you got hit by an enemy in Battletoads, it would, like, there would be an animation or other things linked to it that really gave it that, like I said, impact. I like to use the word impact here because that's what Battletoads is all about. It's hip, cool, and hits you in the face real hard, right? It's the 90s in a nutshell. So this is where I can see where people are complaining. I don't personally think, I think they're overreaching a little bit, but to say that people are stupid or that it's silly
I'm
for
not
them
saying,
to be mad
I'm not
about
saying
it
they're
is
stupid
a
or
little
silly.
bit
I'm just
overboard
saying,
because it does feel very unpolished. And if this game is supposed to be coming out soon,
it's not.
It's not. So
they didn't give a release date. This is like still. I still think this is early footage. So I mean,
and
like,
it's on Game Pass, isn't it? So you can get it free if you're subscribed to Game Pass.
You can't get it yet, though.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm just saying that it's going to be a free game if you signed up for.
And even
Game
this,
Pass.
I think you could still buy it separately. I don't think they specified that it was only for Game Pass.
Okay.
and even
So,
this is like a budget download, like download only type of game, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, like there's plenty of those too. It's just
Yeah,
I just found it like I could see if people were doing this because they're fatigued by some of those, but like it just seems kind of ridiculous that this game, but like other stuff is getting a pass. Like if it had been done in an 8-bit or 16-bit style, nobody would be having this conversation.
Well, no, or if it was done in the same vein as like Mega Man 11 or something, where they sort of updated the graphics to feel properly 3D, because it feels more Ren and Stimpy than it does Battletoads.
I feel like if they did it in a 3D style, even more people would not be okay with that, because it would be like doing something like that Turtles in Time remake, Reshelled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, people did not really like that one very much.
But that game was like, the art style was like the least of that game's problems.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying in general, it wasn't like something people were super stoked about when it came out.
I mean, if this is the direction art style wise, because it seems like more people are complaining about just the art style in general, like reading the YouTube comments here, like if they make a cartoon out of it, then that may alleviate some of that type of stuff.
I mean, I could name something that also went for a cartoon style, but is actually way worse, but we'll say that for later.
All right, but let's not get hung up on Battletoads. It's just,
I just wanted to talk about that because I found it kind of ridiculous that people were going this crazy about it. But
I mean, they're lost.
whatever,
I mean,
the game's still like a ways away. It sounds like so. Yeah, I feel like we're going to be seeing more next E3 about it because they didn't give a release date. So I mean, they just announced it last year, so with a logo, and that was it. And then this year we finally got to see gameplay. So who knows what's going to happen with it? But moving on, they showed a bunch of indie stuff. Is there anything from the indie stuff you guys want to talk about?
I just want to point out how Legend of Right has the song that starts off sounding like Dragon Quest and then changes.
Yeah, that was crazy. That game actually looks really interesting, I gotta say. It kind of reminds me of if that one game that I reviewed was an RPG, Drawn to Death. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that. Now I know what you're talking about. That definitely had a cool style to it.
yeah, it's interesting. It's weird. It's like turning a pen and paper RPG into like a JRPG or something like that. It's kind of neat. One that I know they only showed these for like a fraction of a second, but the one that I really am interested in, the ones they showed in the quick ID at Xbox thing is Iconfell, which is like a turn-based RPG, but like it uses like timing like Mother 3 in its battles. So it's like a lot of people are saying it's if Mother 3 went to Hogwarts, essentially, because it's about wizards and witches and shit.
One other I actually remember, it was one where you're playing as like a deer and their fawn, and you're kind of like exploring like this sort of like abandoned city type of thing, and
That's
you kind of do like this.
That's Way to the Woods, or as I like to call it, backwards homeward bound.
Yeah.
I don't know, the way like the deer would like sort of like make a pulse. It kind of reminded me of like Journey and Abzu.
Mm-hmm.
So that might actually be interesting.
Also, guys, let's not forget about Lord of the Rings living card game.
Yeah, just another, like, some people really like those. It's like liking Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic or Hearthstone or whatever. Like, it's just another thing. You're just like, oh yeah, I love card games, but it also has the Lord of the Rings linked to it? That's awesome! Okay. Like, I'm down for that. I mean, I won't play it, but a lot of people could be pretty excited for it.
The one other one I'll mention is Felix the Reaper. When I was looking at it, it reminds me of if Kickle Cubicle had hip-hop music.
I never thought of it that way.
It's because it's like a single map puzzle game, but you gotta like hide in shadows and shit, and you gotta like move blocks and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
I'll just throw out The Good Life, because that's Swery's new project.
Oh yeah, that was the one that got Kickstarter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know what that one is.
Which one was that again?
It's the one where you're like playing as like a woman in a town with like a camera. It has like kind of like a
oh
and you turn into a Logwork hat.
Oh yeah, that's
One other one I want to mention. I know that we keep going back into them, but one they really focused on was 12 minutes.
I'm intrigued by that.
Which was that top down. This seemed to be the year of like looping.
Well, there's two games that do that were prominently featured.
But yeah, like it was like a time loop kind of thing, where the character, I guess, knows everything that happens, but it plays out differently. It seems interesting for sure. Let's see.
I mean, Age of Empires 2, Definitive Edition, was also announced. Which, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Why, did this really need another like, it's not even a remake. It's like another remaster.
Yeah. But there is one that's so big cool. That was kind of a surprise. There's this trailer that was going on about this drunk guy who was just talking about stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then, of course, right at the end, it says Wasteland 3. So,
oh yeah,
Wasteland 3 is happening. Which I guess Wasteland 2 was really successful, so...
successful enough, I guess.
That's kind of neat. But, like, it was just weird. I'm like, what fucking game is this? What is drunk dude talking about? And this is Wasteland. One thing that I didn't know about is Xbox Studios apparently acquired Double Fine.
Yeah, they did.
And they showed a new Psychonauts 2 trailer, which I guess Psychonauts 2 was before the acquisition, so I guess it's still coming to PS4?
Yeah, it's still going to be a multi-platform.
Okay, good, because PS4, I think, is the one I backed for.
Pretty sure I did it as well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So... but that's interesting because I love the little joke they made. They're like the guy from Double Fine was like he wants to make some Halo stuff,
some Forza stuff,
Excel.
Yeah, Excel.
What's also funny,
and then they're like, no, make your own games. He's like, oh, thank God.
What's also funny is that Double Fine actually did release a little video. I think it was on Twitter about why they got acquired by Microsoft, and then he was like, well, we got acquired by Microsoft came to us and said, hey, you want a bunch of money? And we said yes.
I mean, they're honest. I'm glad. The honesty is like 80% of that, and I like that.
Microsoft seems like a lot of what they're doing now is they're trying to find like stuff that they're trying to find stuff that's cool and throw money at it. Because, I mean, especially with how things went with Rare with them, they're probably trying to, like, get on people's good side again with that.
Well, yeah, but, like, think of all the good games that have come out on PS4. Because Sony has been willing to throw money or acquire like exclusivity rights to certain things, right? So
true.
this is how Microsoft should go about some of this stuff. Now, the last two things before we talk about Microsoft for 40 minutes is they're the last two big ones. Gears of War 5. Gears 5 is announced, and then we got a teaser for Halo.
Yeah.
On the new system.
Excuse me, you're missing some big ones.
I don't want to talk about Crossfire X.
Phantasy Star Online 2?
Tales of Arise?
Yeah.
Yes. Don't leave on my big announcement.
To generalize, like I guess for me personally, I'm just like they're multi-platform, so they're not Microsoft related.
Well, technically, like all these games are going to PC anyway, so that's not like exclusive.
That's true. I have to remember that PC is like absorbing everything now. Like Octopath Traveler just released on PC recently too.
Yeah,
I just realized in my notes I put new Halco Infinite trailer instead of Halo. God.
And apparently the new Halo is coming out for the next Xbox system as well.
Yeah, which they announced Project Scarlet.
They gave us some details for that as well.
Yep, holiday 2020. It's slightly more powerful to the max.
That's the thing. That's that when I was watching that trailer, and I guess maybe like because I hadn't seen the Halo trailer when they first showed it because I was at work when the Xbox conference was happening. So I had seen the Square one and seen the graphics of Final Fantasy VII on PS4. Now, obviously, they're probably running on pros, just to make everything run smoother. But still, I don't know. The graphics don't look that much crazier. Do we really need this to be on a completely new system?
Keep in mind, that was just like a CG trailer.
Well, no, it was in-game.
Or
That was
an
in-game
in-game trailer,
footage.
but still.
Yeah. And it looked like a CG trailer to a certain extent, but it's still, I don't know, it like looked like it could be on the Xbox One X. Like it straight up looks like it could be.
It's probably going to be a...
Well, it's a transitional game. It's going to be like the first launch of the new system. So I imagine
that's true,
from there forward, it'll be better. It'll get better.
Yeah, that. I agree with that. It's probably going to be transitional. There is a lot of stuff I wrote down, like Gears Funko Pop game, but like we don't need to talk about that or any of the other shit.
Can we just have like a separate conference for mobile games, Apple and Android, so that there's not like the moment where everyone rises up and goes,
well, then Bethesda would have nothing to show.
Just not as much. They still had stuff, but
well, have like a 20-minute direct.
Wait. One thing that left for Microsoft that I must talk about is Forza Horizon 4 is getting Lego cars.
That was actually pretty neat.
I just love the Lego guy driving by the regular Horizon cars like, hey, what's up, buddy? It's neat. So, okay. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about Microsoft other than Phantasy Star Online 2?
I mean, that's cool. I'd not be down to play that.
It's cool. It's cool, but it's a little late.
Better late than never.
Oh, you want to talk about games releasing late in the West?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Oh, I know. I'm very much aware of what you're talking about. But that's the thing. Is like, this seems a little weird for them to do this now. Especially because if there's going to be another Phantasy Star Online come out, like
you just don't care because you play Final Fantasy 14.
No, I like PSO. I fucking play the shit out of it.
I'm making fun of you, CJ.
I'm looking at it, I'm just like, it's a game from like 5-6 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and how old is Final Fantasy 14 at this point?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. No, Blondie's right. That is true. Yeah. It is like if we count 1.0, then yeah, it's almost 10 years old at this point.
So, guys, should we talk about Bethesda, aka the non-apology conference? The one guy who's hype about everything.
Can we just skip Bethesda? I'm done.
Well, I mean, first thing to note is they mentioned Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, but they don't actually show anything from it.
Nothing's ready yet. They only announced it last year.
I mean, Doom Eternal. Okay, 10 out of 10. Wow, Doom. And that's it.
I mean,
wait, hold on. There's some shit we gotta talk about with this fucking conference. Fallout 76.
That's an
I
expansion.
mean,
Hold on. First, the expansion. Guess what it adds? NPCs.
it was one of the main things that people complained about. So it's like, yeah, well,
You know, that should have been in the game from the start.
Wasn't they weren't ready? They had to rush it out for the holidays.
Oh my god. And then, not only that, they're like, everybody, free week to play. And you know why there's a free week to play? Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, yes.
That's not gonna say Fallout 76, guys.
I mean,
Like I said, can we just skip? Can we just skip Bethesda? Like, really, I'm done with them.
But
right
we
now.
had to talk about Shinji Mikami's new game, Ghostwire Tokyo.
Okay,
It looks cool.
This makes me incredibly scared for Elder Scrolls 6.
Well, here's the
Like,
thing.
I hear that elsewhere, like the MMO is actually pretty good now.
Oh yeah, ESO's gotten way better.
But that's the thing is like, am I going to be playing like a single player MMO style thing? But I guess that's sort of what
No, I
Elder
think
Scrolls are like. But
I think they're going to be focusing on a single player experience with Elder Scrolls 6.
I hope so, because Fallout 76 proved that these types of games really should stay single player.
Yeah. The one thing that pissed me off the most about this conference, I mean, it was pretty bad for the most part, was the fucking Commander Keen
Fuck
game.
this.
I actually was excited for a split second, and then I saw
Yeah.
gameplay, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I love how they're like, we're glad that id Software trusted us with their franchise. Did they see the game before you announced this?
I'm pretty sure they did. They were like, yeah, this is the mobile type of game we
And
want for
kick
it.
some asteroids.
You revive a dead franchise to make a fucking mobile game that has nothing to do with it. And now I see why everybody was pissed off at that fucking thing last year.
What, Command & Conquer?
Command and Conquer.
It wasn't as
Like,
bad as Command & Conquer because it was instantaneous. Like, oh, this
Is it just companies are like, what dead franchise do we have that we don't have to spend a lot of money on and can make a mobile game of? I know, what's next? Fucking Day of the Tentacle?
I mean, that got a remastered,
What's
so no.
next? Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remaster? Oh, wait.
Well-
That's actually happening!
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't as bad as Command & Conquer because that was, like I said, it was instantaneously, oh, this is bad. We don't even want that.
Oh,
But
that's
Commander
yeah.
Keen, with Commander Keen, it was
But at least
like...
with Crystal Chronicles, like, it's still getting, like, I think this is how these types of things
Okay.
should work.
Well-
Is Commander Keen, like that, should still be released on consoles. Why does it have to be Android and iOS exclusive?
Why does it have to be a fucking tap-to-win game?
microtransactions. That's
Yeah.
why.
I mean, yeah.
Of course.
Like,
Um,
that's the reason
This
why.
gameplay
It's
is
just-
slower
it's just to
than
make money
the
off of it.
fucking MS-DOS games.
SCR, there was something else you wanted to say, isn't there? Or was that it?
No, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, like, I played some of the original Commander Keens back when you had to, like, jury-rig this, like, gamepad to your PC. Like, we didn't have USB back then, so we had to work with what we had. And at first, I was excited when I heard the words Commander Keen, and then just right off the cliff. Like, I want nothing to do with this.
Like, I didn't grow up with it, but I played a bit of the Steam version, and Commander Keen games are great.
Yeah.
Like, they're fun.
I mean, yeah, they're classic DOS games of that era. So to see this it's really insulting because when I was first seeing it, it's like, oh, they're doing something kind of cute and cartoony. Like they mentioned, it was going to be like a Saturday cartoon type of thing with Commander Keen's kids, and I'm like, okay, this could be something. And as soon as it showed like, oh, it's on mobile, and then you see in this vertical setup,
it's a Saturday morning cartoon where your TV has, like, one of those dollar slots.
It's a Saturday
Well,
morning cartoon to the kids of this generation.
But that actually makes sense because this generation's kids are usually watching shit on their iPads anyway. They're not watching TVs; they're on iPads watching their Saturday morning cartoons. So it's just
watching my
they'll play it, and then they'll beg their parents, Mom, can we use your credit card to get this? And the Commander Keen, I needed to defeat the ooze monster or whatever.
It's going to make them a shit.
And then
ton
their
of money.
parents are like, "That's not on a floppy disk." Commander Keen, what are you talking about?
I like the art style. If there's one thing about it, the art style is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I just realized
that's why-
Commander Keen is now old enough that the parents of this generation might not even know what that is. So, fuck.
Well, yeah, we're at the tail end of of the millennial age, eh? So
Oh man.
actually, no, we're at the beginning of it. That's why we remember things like this. But like, because like that starts in 1985 until 1995 or 1996. That's why we're
Something like
millennial
that.
kids.
Like they're like computers weren't in Pentiums yet.
Yeah.
When they were out. So, the only other, like, obviously we're going to talk about Doom Eternal, but before we talk about that, one thing that is impressive is the Orion API. Now, because I'm a tech nerd, I'm going to spend a minute talking about this. But basically what they
I'll go
said...
refresh my drink while you're doing this.
Sure. Basically what they said is they're going to be including this API into all of their games. And what it does is essentially make streaming services like Stadia, like game streaming services, work better and more efficient. What they were saying some pretty impressive stuff. Like, I'm not going to get all into the nitty gritty, but some of the stuff that I'm I'm thinking like, if this is like a regular thing, then this should just be implemented by default into Stadia's and all the streaming platforms stuff, because they did show a demo which didn't really show anything off, but they showed somebody playing Doom 2016 at like full frame rate on a phone.
Oh yeah, that.
The thing is, they didn't say what the network connection was, but I think it was hinted that they were running off of like an actual cellular connection. So that could be anything from 3G to LTE, which LTE is pretty fast, but it's still not the same as your Wi-Fi at home. So if Orion does what, and the engineers at id I kind of trust, because they John Carmack ran the ship there for so long, and the guy's a fucking wizard. So I can only think that he handpicked like the best fucking programmers and whatnot. So I believe more that Orion could be something interesting than, say, something like Stadia or these other streaming services that are available. Like Microsoft's one they're doing with xCloud. Like, if an Orion becomes an actual API that is really that great, we could see on your internet connection, Blondie, you get 8K at 60 frames per second in your games.
I doubt it with my connection, but we'll see.
Yeah, considering right now Stadia is saying you need like 5 megabits per second is needed to at least use the service. So, but if Orion does what it says it's going to do, that might be interesting. Now, Doom Eternal.
I mean, we still haven't really talked about like Ghostwire and a bunch of other stuff. Did we?
They showed a trailer. So Doom Eternal.
You're not going to talk about like the director of
I did. I mentioned it, but they didn't show any gameplay. So there's not really much to say. Game's happening.
I mean, I just want to bring that up because that was like an endearing part of part of that conference, at least, seeing her in her directorial debut under idea or what's his name, Shinji Mikami. Yeah, sorry, I was getting my wires mixed up. So and conceptually it looks interesting, but obviously we need to see more of it. It's know what it even is, what it's even going to play like. So, but anyway, go on to Doom.
So Doom Eternal. It looks great.
Doom game. It's another Doom game.
It looks fucking great. The battle mode is interesting. The multiplayer one, which I guess it's 1 versus 2, I think, or something like that. That's what they showed. This was the whole highlight of Bethesda's conference.
I mean, it was one of the things that people were expecting to be good, and it was good. So it wasn't really all that surprising.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't that surprising.
The Wolfenstein games, like the Youngblood, it looks good. It just looks good because the
Youngblood looks great, and it is coming out on basically everything, which is good.
Yeah. I think it's even coming out on Switch.
It is. I'm gonna have to get Wolfenstein 2 and Youngblood when it comes out on Switch, because I don't have them yet. Because I need to beat Wolfenstein 3D.
I mean, you don't need to beat the original to play the newer ones.
But I wanna. But yeah, Doom looks really good. The collector's edition for Doom comes with a helmet and there's not a canvas bag in sight. For those of you who don't know,
bags, because they weren't even made.
We know. Everyone knows about that bag shit.
6 months later, and they still haven't replaced them like they said they would. But
I don't think anyone really expects them to at this point.
It's just funny that the best part of this whole conference was stuff from id Software. It's like that's the only thing that people were looking forward to.
Mikami Studio.
And Mikami's studio, which is Tango Softworks.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with this Bethesda. It's like other than that, they're grasping at straws for Fallout 76 and being like, look, we know we fucked up, but we're still adding to it. We're still going to keep at it. But for a lot of people, it's like too little, too late, and they're adding like a battle royale, and that seems desperate too.
Something that got brought up, just quickly going back to that, is when I was listening to, when I was doing the recap notes for these, I did listen to other people's reactions too. Dal, one of the guys who worked with Angry Joe, mentioned that he feels like the battle royale mode is where the money they had already gotten from the game was put into it instead of completing the main game some more. Or fixing stuff. And I think the reason they did that is because, obviously Fallout 76 did not have a good reputation. It went down to $20 in its first, month.
I don't know if it was that drastic, but, I mean, it did drop.
But, in the States. I'm talking American dollars.
Yeah, even then, I don't think it was that drastic, but still.
But
it hit at least 30.
Yeah. I saw it 20 some places that people were selling. But regardless, instead of continuing to work on the game for the people who did spend the money on your game and bought the microtransactions and all that shit, they add Battle Royale because I guess that's going to save it. I don't,
no,
and my thing is about it is
it's a little bit more
the
complicated
people
than that,
who like Fortnite and shit don't care about Fallout. The kids who play Fortnite don't care about Fallout.
Because they're just
adding a Battle Royale mode is not going to
Fortnite.
save your game.
Because they're just playing Fortnite, yeah. And,
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, because, knowing the development of how games work, fixing certain aspects of the core game can really fuck up a lot of the rest of the game. The way that they built Fallout 76 is the reason why it's better to create new content for it than to go back and fix some of the already pre-existing content. Now, yes, if they spend enough time and money on it, they'll be able to do it, but this franchise doesn't support that. It doesn't support that type of going back to old infrastructure and fiddling with it, because people are already turned off by it, right?
That's
people
the main problem too.
Already have a bad opinion. So I understand that this is an excuse rather than it actually being a proper reason on why they're choosing this, but let them create an entirely new game mode within their engine that may bring some people back that did purchase it, or bring in a couple of new people, especially if the pricing is good. Now, it's not going to fix it, and that's not what it is, but it seems like the major stuff isn't just the battle royale feature. It's getting the NPCs, getting the fundamentals of the Fallout game back into it, and that costs a lot of fucking money.
The only thing I'm going to say is Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 better not be using the same fucking engine. They've been using the same engine for over 10 years. They need a new engine. I mean, I know that they're not going to do this, but I've been saying for since last year, they own id. Use id Tech 6. Just use that. At least it works. It's just why use the same? Literally, there's glitches that are in Fallout 4 that are in Fallout 76 because they use that as a code base. Instead of fixing the glitches first in Fallout 4 and then doing that. And the thing is, that Battle Royale mode already has problems. If you wear a skin, you can hide that you're wearing power armor, for example, and the game won't tell you that you're wearing that they're wearing power armor. You just have to assume they are. So people are already finding ways to cheese it. So
of course,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, and like I said, that goes back down to the fundamental programming of the game, where that's built in. So to actually work around it and manipulate it to remove it from the core parts of the mechanic or change the core, it can have terrible ramifications on the system in and of itself, because other things, depending upon how they've coded it, things bounce off of other things. So if you screw one part of the sequence, then half the world just disappears. So I guess they're just putting band-aids on it.
They're trying to polish a turd as best they can.
Yeah,
I mean, other
that's
games.
the best they can do. It's the best they can do.
Yeah, and in other games that had rough launches, like No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves, those are cases where they kept at it and then they became better games as a result. But But with Fallout 76, it's like it'd be hard pressed to try and achieve that. And also, I felt like with Bethesda, not just with 76, but also with just their Elder Scrolls stuff in general, it felt like a lot of padding. Especially considering it's like, well, Elder Scrolls 6 is still like a few years away, so we gotta pad out, our Elder Scrolls Online, the card game, the mobile game, which is going to be on Switch, even though it's going to be full of like, the usual mobile stuff. But yeah, that's just how I felt about Bethesda.
Well, and Zero did bring it up. It's the fact that they haven't made a new. I say this in a weird way, but they haven't made a new game since Skyrim. Like, yes, you could say, oh, well, Fallout has come out, Fallout 4, and now 76, but they play exactly the same. And on top of that, they have the same bugs, if not even more buggy, because they've been building off of like an engine that can hardly handle this stuff anymore.
It's like they're using their car they got from high school and constantly still trying to like soup it up and tune it up, but it's still like a shitty car you got back in high school. So
yeah,
got like
you paid $3,000 for. Yeah,
you've got like a Ford Taurus and you're trying to run it in the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Let's just say, guys, that Bethesda is, I was gonna say the best of the worst, but I can't even give them that. it was a thing that
no man.
They talked about Doom.
Konami can get it more right than you.
So let's move on to Devolver Digital.
The saga continues.
Which I gotta be honest, I thought their conference this year was kind of weak compared to the last 2 years, but it is what it is. The whole thing is they're doing Devolver Direct now. It's their whole thing. And they literally copied the Nintendo Direct. But let's, specifically what their thing is, so I guess they're going to be doing a storyline up, including next year for E3 as well.
That's just what they've been doing.
It's kind of crazy that they kept that storyline going. But let's talk about some of the games. So the first game they showed, which was kind of like a surprisingly hype game, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, which I wrote in my notes. It says it looks like MXC on crack. It's basically like that kind of like MXC style like obstacle course thing, but it looks like it's like a multiplayer game of some kind with that. It looks fun as hell. I kind of want to try it. Do you guys have anything to say about it?
It looks kind of neat. It looks kind of cool, yeah.
It looks neat. I'm not stoked about it or anything like that.
They also announced the Devolver Bootleg Launcher, which is an actual thing you can get in Steam.
I gotta check out Hotline Milwaukee.
Hotline Milwaukee. What were some of the other ones that they
Castlevania. Let's see.
It's a parody on those Chinese 10-in-1 carts. So, with bootleg style games, like Mario 14. It looks amazing. I want to try it out, especially for Castlevania. The one that was kind of surprising to me, Carrion, the reverse horror game, where you play as the monster going around and jacking guys.
You are the demon.
Exactly. It's like playing. It's you know what I thought of when I saw it? It's like playing, like the first Alien movie from the alien's perspective. It's kind of what it feels like. Going around and just killing
Alien vs. Predator games have those, but yeah.
That is true, but that's kind of what this one made me feel like that. That's the first thing it reminded me of.
Because of the nature of what you play as, it made me think of the Blob, from the movies, the Blob.
Oh, the Blob, yes.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I want to try it out. I'm interested to see the different ways you can kill people in this game. as playing as the monster. And I'm sure they only really the trailer they showed was kind of brief, so they only really showed some stuff. They didn't show all the mechanics, but I'm assuming there's going to be stuff that's going to make it more challenging than just saying you're a killing machine kind of thing.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah. Then there was they announced an arcade game.
Yeah, it's like a Enter the Gungeon arcade game.
Yeah, House of the Gun Dead. Which looks amazing. I hope we get a console version.
I think that is gonna have a home version.
I hope it has a home version, like for real.
Yeah,
because it's a rail shooter. I love rail shooters. And then an expansion for the Messenger, Picnic Panic.
Yeah.
I still need to play through the Messenger. I've only played the first little bit of the game.
I played like at least halfway through it, and the expansion was announced a while ago, but they showed more of it off here, and it still looks good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure they announced it before, or at least the developers announced it. But yeah, they showed it here because
if you haven't played the Messenger, it's like it's basically like a Ninja Gaiden-esque style game. It's really fun,
more or less. Yeah.
And then they showed another trailer for My Friend Pedro, which I can't wait for. I think it's out now, actually.
Or at least it might be out by the time this podcast goes up.
Yeah, pretty much. Was there anything I missed from Devolver Digital?
That's all I can recall. Although one thing I would want to comment is, I think people were expecting to see Metal Wolf Chaos.
Yes, that's one of the reasons why I felt like this one was a little underwhelming.
Well, they said afterwards that they're gonna do news about that game afterwards.
Oh, okay.
just to say when it's actually coming out and stuff like that.
Did they announce when it's coming out?
Not yet, I don't think.
Because I've been waiting for that shit. I want to play that.
A lot of people have, yeah, or are.
So, Scott, CJ, do you guys have anything to say about Devolver Digital?
No, I wasn't really that interested.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to see what they do.
Speaking of Terminator,
fucking wacky.
We kind of glossed over the fact that they showed off like a Terminator thing in Gears 5.
And they showed it in another game, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah,
later on.
I forget what it was, but there was at least one other game where it's like, here's a Terminator thing.
Oh, it was during Ubisoft.
Yeah, which we'll get into.
Oh, but before that, Limited Run Games had their
but before
E3
that
conference. But before that, what's before that?
The E3 pre-show.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Don't you talk about this for long. I don't want another repeat of that podcast.
No, I didn't watch all, 11 hours of it this time. It was the usual shit. They occasionally showed various games, they showed Judgment there, which I'm surprised Sega bothered sending someone out there for that. They spliced in clips of Kaiju Big Battle, and then they had an improv comedy troupe do Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, the stage play.
God,
which went on for 40 minutes. It was Scorpion, Sonya, and Sub-Zero just rambling on about their lives before and during the tournament. Scorpion wants to go to a nude beach, but he doesn't know if the rest of his body is like his head. Sonya Blade has carpal tunnel syndrome, so she can't fill out paperwork for her police duties. And Sub-Zero has 12 toes, 7 of which are on one foot.
Okay.
It's riveting drama.
Well, I'm sure.
I need to watch this. Holy fuck.
I'll link you to it.
Okay. But on to the real shit. Limited Run Games announced a fucking ton of stuff. One thing we will say is this is unfortunately the last year they're going to be able to do Vita games. I guess they've stopped manufacturing the cartridges for it, I think is what I heard. So the Vita has been officially dead for a while, and Limited Run Games has been the only company still making games for it outside of Japan, maybe. But yeah, officially this year is the last year that they can make games for the Vita. So they showed off all their Vita stuff that they're doing. Just a few things: Atari Flashback Classics, Damascus Gear Operation Osaka, and Tokyo, both of them. Deadbolt, Guacamelee, Metal Slug 3, Papers, Please was their big one that they showed that they're doing. That's like going to be their last Vita game they release. Pix the Cat. There's a whole bunch of them. I could go on forever for this, but they announced a ton of like PS4 and Switch stuff. I know what I want to talk about, but I'm going to let you guys go ahead first because I've kind of been taking the floor on this one. Is there anything specific that you are excited for?
Hover.
Yes, Hover is getting a physical release.
I was listening to a couple of the music tracks from that while waiting for this to start.
I backed that on Kickstarter. I haven't played a lot of it, but what I played I really enjoy. I'd love to have that on Switch.
Also, Blazing Chrome, the
Switch?
best Contra game featured during E3.
Yes, and it is coming out for Switch and PS4 physically, which I'm probably going to pick up.
I mean, I like the Metal Slug series, so it's kind of cool that you can get it. But I mean, it's not really new or interesting. It's just sort of more Metal Slug. So
they're basically talking about their physical releases. That's the thing that they're about. The one 3DS game announced the Atui collection, which is like a collection of all the games, like some of the games they make, like Mutant Muds and I forget what the other ones are called.
Bomb Monkey, Zeo Drifter, Chicken Wiggle.
Yeah, stuff like that. One cool thing that they announced was another Sega CD throwback. Their PS4 release of Corpse Killer.
Some things should just stay dead.
Yeah, Corpse Killer is not a great one.
And also Double Switch is coming to the Switch.
Oh, that's been announced. Or I know Double
Yeah.
Switch was getting a new like remaster or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think they announced this one because I don't remember, but they have The Curse of Monkey Island for PC listed on this list.
but it's been out on PC. It's on Steam. You
No,
can
a
get it,
physical
like, everywhere.
edition is what they're
Oh, a
releasing.
physical. thing
Dude,
might
these
be
guys
so
are
bad.
all physical. So everything we're talking about is a physical release.
physical,
Oh,
physical.
okay.
They want to get physical.
So that's the one PC game on the list. I don't remember seeing that during the conference, but it's listed here. So I don't know. Maybe they just shadow dropped that and I didn't realize.
Well, I'll pick it up then. So I would like,
Of course
I
you
like
will.
Yeah, I love the Little Monkey Island series.
I actually might as well. Oh shit! They're also doing Monkey Island 2 Special Edition.
Oh, yeah.
So
For
they're
PC
pretty
as well.
much the Xbox Live Arcade
Oh,
versions.
never
of
mind.
those
They're doing
games.
all the Monkey Island games physically.
Yeah. There you go.
They're a distributor for the Shenmue 3 Collector's Edition, which I think is, which looks awesome. I kind of
Wow.
want it, but I already have the game coming, so, physically, so I'm not sure what I'll do with that. They're also, like, re-releasing a ton of fucking Star Wars games.
Mhm.
Like, on their original, like, media. Like,
Pod racing.
some of them. Pod racing.
Yeah.
They're releasing, I guess they're releasing a
Oh.
physical version of the PC and N64 versions for the episode 1. They're releasing the original Star Wars on NES and Game Boy again. X-Wing's getting, and TIE Fighter, I think, are getting a collection. Like a whole bunch of shit. The other main one I want to talk about is, there's two. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is getting a physical release through them. So I'll probably be picking up the collector's edition on PS4 that they're releasing. And the Turok and Turok 2 are being released physically.
Oh yeah, those
the
are those
remasters.
Yeah, the remasters.
Yeah. Is there anything I missed that's substantial?
Real
Yes.
Mist.
Yes. That's getting a physical release as well.
Okay,
Is that like a remake or what is it?
I think that's a version of Myst. I believe it's a remake.
It's a version of Myst where you can actually move around instead of having to like do the old adventure
Wait, where
games
you jump?
thing where you
Oh.
like jump
Where
forward.
you, yeah, jump screen.
Oh, so they turned it more
Yeah.
into like a walking simulator then, or
or
No, it's more like Raven or Ravine or whatever it's
Riven?
called. I think it was called
Riven.
Raven, wasn't it? Riven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myst.
Where you click on the spot on the screen and it moves you towards the object rather than like Scott was saying where you have to type go through that or book on table pickup
No,
or
it's
something
not.
like
I don't
that.
think it's also that. It's more so that it's more of a transition than not an instant like go to that spot like the original.
Where it pops you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have played the original Nest. So,
But anything else you guys want to talk about before we move on to the next press conference?
I mean, Limit Run's pretty cool that they're doing stuff like this. For
Yeah,
And
games
they
that
did the
don't have
whole
any-
thing on like $4.50 worth of special effects.
Oh yeah, that.
Like last year, I love that. And they'd always cut to one guy in the crowd going, "Yeah, woo!"
That Bethesda guy.
I was about to say, there's this one guy throughout all the conferences that were like, "Yeah, woo!" There's always one dude.
I mean, he's
and
probably-
it sounds like the same guy.
I mean, it's probably just like overly excited to be there type of thing, or he's
Yeah.
drunk. I don't know.
he wants to become a meme. That's what he wants.
So, guys, I have literally no notes for this, but let's talk about Ubisoft.
Oh, no PC
They
gaming
still
show.
exist.
Well, yeah,
I didn't talk about it. All I know is everyone hates Epic Games.
I mean that's like the big like anger button for PC gamers nowadays. It's like if it's Epic Games exclusive,
the only
anger
thing I'll
button.
say about that is the statement on Shenmue 3 being exclusive is bullshit. They should allow people to get refunds if they don't want the Epic Games Store version. Like that's it bullshit. Like I'm excited for Shenmue 3 and I got it for PS4 and I'm going to play it, but like I don't feel it's right that they tell people, "Sorry, it's not on your platform or choice, so you're not getting a refund." Like that's ridiculous to me.
it's like they're
Well,
blurring.
this is the problem with Kickstarter. Like this is like the biggest thing about like semi-popular games, not just like, you know, an indie Kickstarter or whatever, like that has like something like Psychonauts, for example. It has a very like, yeah, it was released on the Microsoft platform and everything like that, but it was still like a very indie type game.
Mhm.
Whereas in Shenmue, a lot of people know it, especially during the Sega era and all that type of stuff. So when it comes to backing something that is, I don't want to say that Shenmue was ever a AAA title or anything like that, but at least it had the polish of being one of the greats of the Dreamcast, right? So a lot of people remember it fondly, and to kickstart it is a good way to show interest, and a lot of people showed interest in it. But when it comes to actually financing and actually creating the game, especially the game that they want to make, that they promised the Kickstarter people, and then on top of that, when other game companies say, "Hey, we'll shovel some money your way if you make it this or that," the problem comes with the fact that it was announced way too early for this type of thing. Because, like, just say they announced Shenmue but didn't have a Kickstarter, and then it was said to be releasing exclusively on the Epic Store. Yeah, some people would be mad, but people are mad because the Kickstarter didn't make it seem like they were going to be taking corporate money.
Yeah.
That we gave them our money.
No. I don't think it's that
to do
specifically
that.
because they were getting some funding for it from outside sources. But the thing about it is that obviously people are upset is because they backed for one version and now they're being told that version's not coming out and they're not getting a refund for it. So your option is give the version we give you or don't take it.
The problem is
which
that
is-
that they don't see. I think the problem is they don't see it as a big deal because it's like, well, it's still technically the PC version anyway. You just have to do it from a different store. Which it's like to them, it's like all you have to do is just if you don't have an Epic Games account, and that's fine. You just go there and get it. And get it there. It's simple. It's easy. But people are like, no, we prefer Steam. It's been with us forever. We don't exactly trust the Epic Games Store because it's still pretty new, and it's just kind of a big mess in that way.
Well,
They've been going through a lot of
it's
shit
like
lately,
EA
too.
Origins, right? Like it's just another like people think that someone's trying to take a piece of Steam's pie or something like that, and they're
The
so
Steam
used
killer.
to having Steam that they're like, well, why do I have to download another launcher?
The other thing about it too is that there's been some really shady shit going on with the whole Epic Games Store that they're doing. So people don't trust it right now. And to announce that this big game that was already had people who backed it for a certain version that they asked for, to tell them that's no longer available, choose one of the other options. It's like, what if they didn't have
that's
that other option?
disingenuous of an argument because they said a PC release.
No, they
didn't
said
say-
Steam.
They actually said Steam PC release.
Yes. They said it's going to be for Steam.
Because I thought
they
that
said
people
all the
were just
codes were going to
bitching
be for
about it being a
Steam,
PC
and I'm pretty
version.
sure the demo or beta people got to play it on Steam. So they had always intended to put it on Steam, but now Epic Games says, "Oh, this game's going to come out. Here's some more money. Put it on our store exclusively."
And they were still updating the Steam page for Shenmue 3 up until very recently.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is a backdoor shady deal.
Only recently
It
happened
is.
though. The deal could have recently happened. This isn't something that they've been holding on to
But,
for
the game
2 years.
releases soon. I'm pretty sure within a month or two. Does it not?
I thought it was a little bit later than that.
Yeah.
When's it released? Hold on.
I don't think Shenmue
Fact
3
checking.
comes out this year. I thought it was next year. I could be wrong though.
On their phones.
I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but it's already planned. I think it's already in gold status. Like it's already going in to be pressed for the physical copies.
Oh yeah, no, August 27th. So it isn't coming out next month.
It's coming out in a couple months though.
In a couple months, yeah. Like in 2 months.
Like it's very close to launch. So unless this deal was made a long time ago, like almost a year ago, they've had plenty of time to, brace people instead of like dropping this during E3 and then telling people, sorry, too bad you weren't on Steam, Epic Games or nothing. Or PS4. Like, it seems kind of shitty. It just seems really shitty that they would do that. And I'm not blaming the developer, I'm blaming that Epic Games is kind of forcing them to do that. I don't know. In any case, let's talk about Ubisoft. Or what little of Ubisoft we have to talk about.
I did not watch this.
I did.
I watched it after Nintendo.
Yeah, I warned you not to do that.
So I'm like, what a way to end E3 for me. But the main things I have to talk about is it got the Wii U trending on Twitter. Because Just Dance 2020 is coming to the Wii and not the Wii U. But I think this is hilarious. We live in a world where, like, Just Dance is still coming out for Wii, but not the Wii U. And I get it, because if you own a Wii U, you can just play the Wii version.
Yeah, and people might be shocked to see that kind of thing. I'm like, what? Really? They're still releasing a Wii game for that? And it's like, well, yeah, because a lot of people still play Just Dance on the Wii, because the motion controls actually work really well with a game like that. So, and I think there's still a lot of people that still use it, like even in places like hospitals or retirement homes, that kind of thing. So it's like, hey, new game, new Just Dance, why not?
The thing they opened with, though, was the next Watch Dogs game, which,
It has an interesting premise.
Mm-hmm.
I like the subtitle line. Legion sounds like a good progression for the Watch Dogs franchise, right? Especially with information being more readily available to everybody, right? That we are just becoming more and more numbers on the internet than we are individuals. Like, I like the concepts in which they're bringing forward. I like the idea that you can just find random NPCs to just add to your roster and you can play as them. That's kind of cool. But at this rate, why not just make customizable characters and then just sort of leave it at that? Because when the way they explain it anyway, they're like, every character in the world is surprisingly and interesting, unique. Like, they're trying to make this entire city full of like unique NPCs.
What are you saying? You don't want to play as Hacker Granny?
Well, that's fine, but that's the thing, is like, you make her Hacker Granny. She's not just Hacker Granny when you don't control her, right? Like, that's the problem. It's like, yeah, you can play as anybody and you can outfit them the way that you want them, or change how they interact. It doesn't change the fact that it's just a random NPC that has X number of stats. We're going to find out that they're going to have these characters that have all different types of good passive abilities or bad ones or whatever, like trying to balance things as much as possible. But in the end, there's going to be 5 NPCs that are really, really fucking good to play as, and that's going to be like 80% of the player base is just going to be hacking into those people and not even giving a second glance at Pizza Boy Timmy that has like super fast hacking abilities or whatever.
Oni made a good comparison. He said it like it reminded him of Zombie U. where you have a character and then you just keep progressing with the next character.
If only for the fact that Zombie U has a more unique mechanic where you die and that's the end of that character's story, and then you get given a new character.
I was going to say this sounds like Watch Dogs Odyssey.
Watch Dogs.
I don't know. I don't know. It seems interesting, and for the people that like the Watch Dogs series and like that open worldness, I bet you it's gonna work very, very well. It sounds good in premise and in concept when they're talking about it, but when the actual game comes out, we're gonna see a lot of kinks in the armor.
Obviously, somebody must be playing these fucking games because they keep making them. Well, I remember the first one being such a train wreck.
Well, it didn't meet to people's expectation. Watch Dogs 1 got overhyped. And then people were like, "What? It didn't look like the trailer," and but
Watch Dogs 2 was actually critically acclaimed. It was good. A lot of people loved Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can kind of take from the new Watch Dogs is that the premise, like you said, is interesting. The only thing I can see maybe being something that they're not as extensive as they would hope to be would be the whole system of you can greet anybody, but I feel like that's going to be still a bit limited. There'll be a pool of set of different people you can sort of just pick and choose, and they'll just be they'll look different or have different names and different stats and stuff, but they'll still be similar people, like the grandmas and the guys, and stuff like that. Of the subsets of people you can just sort of pick and choose.
I mean, I'm assuming that each character is going to have different traits and stuff, and that
exactly. And they make a big deal about characters can perma-die, but it's well, then you just get another person like him.
Yeah, that is true. I don't really see the appeal of it.
Well, that's the thing about permadeath, and this is why Fire Emblem can do permadeath well in the same sense, because instead of it just being a city full of people, you get unique units throughout your playthrough. Right? So if one of them dies during one of your combat, and I'm talking about older school Fire Emblem, or if you play on the hardest difficulties in some of the newer ones, is when they're dead, and you can no longer benefit from what they bring to the table. Yeah. So if you lose all your Pegasus Knights, then you lose all your Pegasus Knights, right? And then now you're at a disadvantage against Dragoneers and stuff like that. And that creates this strategy and this bond between you and a character, right? That's why people love Nuzlocke in Pokemon, because it creates a more vivid connection to the creature that you have. Whereas with Legion, if everybody is recruitable in the city, then they just become cannon fodder rather than them actually being interesting and compelling characters that you want to keep alive.
Expendable, basically.
If it's easier for me to run into a depot and blow my character up to finish the objective faster, fuck it, I'll do it, since I have an army of people. Right? It makes you feel like a radical terrorist, I guess. I think that's maybe what they're trying to...
You're a resistance fighter. There's a difference.
Okay, resistance, yeah. But that's the thing, is if I don't get attached ever other than to the slight gimmick of that time where I took over a grandma and put a hockey helmet on her and made her hop up and down in front of the busy streets and making hydrants or whatever they're called. Fuck. Oh man, I've forgotten the name of it. But regardless, they become little anecdotes, but it's not part of the greater series, right? My character doesn't feel important, at all, because everybody can be the main character. And I guess that's also what we're supposed to look at too. There's all types of... It's concept versus actual gameplay, and that's the thing, is I'm more of a person that likes to create stories and have my characters mean something other than... I guess that's why things like Rogue Legacy I don't particularly like either, where it's it's a cool gimmick that you die and then your next of kin takes over, but it sort of takes away from the character's story. It's just he was destined to die to begin with.
Scott, you look like you wanted to say something there for a moment.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. All right. Anything more to say about Watch Dogs? Or should we move on?
It was one of the few new things they announced.
So the rest of Ubisoft was fucking a million Tom Clancy games. I dropped my phone.
Did they talk about Beyond Good and Evil?
No.
No.
Here's the thing. I mean, last year they showed Beyond Good and Evil 2 as early, still very early in development, and they were talking about like how we're going to have community involvement and stuff like that. So I imagine they're still deep in development with that stuff, and they have nothing new to show.
Yeah,
so that's why they're not here this year. And Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still probably like at least a couple of years away from now. That's just my guess. But so because of that, and this is kind of a bit of a transitional period where it's like, well, we're slowly moving in. We're just starting to get into the new, PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox. So Ubisoft was another case of like, let's have some filler. And their filler most of the filler was Tom Clancy stuff. I mean, there was some new Tom Clancy stuff, but if
it's a Tom Clancy fucking mobile game coming out,
and the only appearance of Sam Fisher, the closest thing you'll get to new Splinter Cell is that.
Jeez.
But yeah, they showed a new Ghost Recon, and then it's like apparently the actor who was in the Punisher Netflix series, I think.
Wait, is Splinter Cell also a Tom Clancy game?
Yes, it was one of the early Tom Clancy ones.
Yeah. So
Ghost Recon? No, yeah.
Did the mobile game have anybody from Splinter Cell?
Yes.
Did it? Okay. Because I know they had people from Ghost Recon and fucking Division and whatever the other shit is.
Yeah, well, there's a new Ghost Recon apparently coming out with, like I said, the actor
Breakpoint. Yeah. Breakpoint. Yeah, and that's the actor. He was in The Walking Dead, and he's Punisher. Also he's the main guy from Punisher.
Yeah, he also brought his dog on stage. That was like one of the highlights.
Hi, doggy.
He was a good boy.
That innocent dog brought out to angry video game nerds.
No, they weren't angry at the dog. They can't be.
No. Division 2 still looking more Division-y.
I mean, more Division 2 stuff. There's a new Rainbow Six game. Quarantine, I think it was.
How many Tom Clancy series are there?
There's a few.
There's a lot,
and they're
a franchise.
They do well for Ubisoft. That's why they showed a lot of it.
Splinter Cell, Division, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon. Am I missing any?
So you definitely are.
I mean,
I know there's more.
What else? They showed a For Honor expansion.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's For Honors. Assassin's Creed is also getting a game update, the Odyssey version of it.
I don't think did they mention that. I mean,
they kind of blew their.
They started out with blew over it, saying that there was like new content coming to Odyssey, but it was more along the lines of just making the game more rich.
Well, they kind of blew their Assassin's Creed load on Stadia. Like that's really what
that, and they opened this conference on with a musical performance from Assassin's Creed. Like they're doing a symphony tour with that.
Yeah,
which is I guess kind of neat because it's just something they're doing.
I mean, I'm okay with them not doing a game every year, I guess.
Oh, no, they learned their lesson. Like, people got burned out, and now they're doing one basically every other year.
Mm-hmm. And they'll do some other media like this tour.
And it's helped the movie. Assassin's Creed games. It's helped them a lot by taking time between them.
Well, they look better.
They play better, too, apparently.
Yeah,
I haven't played them yet, but
I've been told the same thing, that they play better, too, so... Anything else from Ubisoft that we care about talking about or mentioning?
What was this thing about gods and monsters?
That was at the end. That was like something that where the people who did Odyssey, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they are doing like just straight up like Greek mythology type of game, and it looks and conceptually it looks interesting because it's like they're going for a more stylized.
Like we're fucking tired of history, so we're gonna make the other shit.
I mean, apparently you did fight something like that in Odyssey, even though it was supposed to be historic, but they kind of make it as a glitch in the Animus system or whatever.
The Matrix.
Yeah. Basically, and you actually fight like a mythical creature in that, I think. So, and then they're like, well, let's just make it full mythology game.
It's sort of like what Ubisoft does with all of their parts of their stuff. Like the boat combat in 3 became an entire full Assassin's Creed game.
We didn't see Skull and Crossbones though. Remember that?
Right.
At least it comes out for Stadia. I'm so happy it comes out for Stadia.
The only other thing you think I could think of was the it was like the roller. What was it called? Roller ball.
Oh, that actually looks really cool.
Roller Champions.
That actually looks really cool. I want to try that out, but I think it's only on Epic.
Well,
not
no,
Epic,
it's you.
Ubi, whatever.
Well, they announced that you can play the beta on PC, but it was through Uplay. Which
I'd
any
I'd
PC
probably
gamer
play it
is
on
like, oh,
PS4
Uplay, no.
anyways. It looks interesting, but
I mean, it looks like it'll be fine.
I mean, that was the one thing I feel like Scott would have something to say about.
Because it's a sports type of game.
What are we talking about?
Remember that one game from Ubisoft that was like roller
I didn't
games?
watch it.
Well, there's like a roller games esque type of multiplayer game,
like a roller skating basketball style game.
I mean, it looks all right. It looks pretty. It's stylized enough.
All right, you know what? We're done with Ubisoft. It was meh.
Yeah,
it wasn't the worst, but it was pretty close.
Like I said, just a lot of filler.
Because now that we've spent 2 hours talking about all that other fucking shit, let's talk about Nintendo, the one that we all care about.
What about Square Enix?
I was about to say, you're forgetting one.
I forgot about Square Enix. All right, let's do it.
How could you forget about Square?
I forgot to put notes in for it. That's why I forgot. Let's talk about Square Enix then. Final Fantasy VII looks fucking awesome, okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
I'm very excited.
I'm not interested in Final Fantasy.
I'm very excited to play as Tifa because she looks like she can chain combos, and I fucking love that shit.
Yeah. Actually, that's one thing that I like about the gameplay. That I was worried that the gameplay, when they were sort of originally showing some of the combat and everything like that, I was like, ooh, this is feeling very Kingdom Heartsy, and I was not. I've never been a big fan of the floaty combat of Kingdom Hearts, especially anything past Kingdom Hearts 2, because Kingdom Hearts 2, which we now know the director of combat and event scenarios in Kingdom Hearts 2 is actually the guy that's doing the combat here in Final Fantasy VII's remake, which means that the combat is probably going to be really, really fun. There's not going to be a lot of hopping and jumping, thank God. I want it to stay grounded, very similar. And then the tactics mode fits into that nice mold for people that like the real-time strategy. But the only thing about the FF7 remake that I'll say is I understand the hype that's generated on it, because FF7 is the RPG that got so many people into RPGs. It may have not gotten like half the people in this call, or even more of people in this call, into RPGs, but it definitely symbolizes something a lot bigger.
It was one of the pivotal
and it
games.
looks like Square is actually taking their time with it.
Yeah, like I was skeptical of the Final Fantasy VII remake for a while, and then I saw the new gameplay they showed, and I'm like, this feels like the game, like Final Fantasy VII. Like, even though it's a different combat style, and obviously it's a much better looking game. It feels like it gives me the same feeling. Also, fucking Barrett's voice actor is spot on. Just gonna say.
I kind of wish they went with
swear.
that petition to have Ron Funches voice him.
I mean, I guess. I mean, but this is the thing, is the only time that everything made me go like, whoa, like, it was cool to see Tifa. Everybody wanted to see what she looks like. I think her design's great.
She looks fucking cute. I love it.
She looks great. But it was when the camera panned out from Aerith and we got to see Midgar, like the full Midgar. Mm-hmm. I have never seen something so hyper detailed, as if it looks as if you could walk in the entire upper parts of every single district or sector in Midgar, which a lot of people are mad because it seems like the game is just mostly going to take place in Midgar. We're not actually going to be able to venture out, which is a very small portion of the overall gaming experience of Final Fantasy VII. But it's the part of the game that needed the most expanding.
Yeah, because you start off in a big city, and then like a few hours later, you're like, oh, you're in the overworld, right?
Yeah, and everything's very bare, and you're going from one place to another, and they're very small and contained, whereas in Midgar is supposed to be this huge, bustling city. Some of the new story events are kind of interesting for anybody that doesn't know some, like, the actual story. Like, that whole bike sequence where you have Jessie on the motorcycle on the back with Cloud, that's completely new. That's cool to see. That they're going to, from what it looks like, flesh out Biggs, Wedge, and Jessie this time around, because a lot of people seem to forget, but those three got almost no character development in the original. So it'd be really cool to see them. Like, you even see the small conversation between Wedge and Biggs where after the reactor blows up, they're like, did we really just do this? Because, like, they realize that they just murdered millions of people and everybody else is out of power in Sector 1. Like, there's consequences that I hope this game goes through with and talks about. During this time, because that's the problem with Midgar, is it was like point A to point B and then it's done, and then, like Blondie said, you're just out in the world now. So I'm looking forward to it because it feels like an extension and a proper remake of what's to come. Now the 2 Blu-ray disc thing seems a little odd. I don't know, like, they didn't really specify if that means that the game in its entirety after its multi-segments come out, that it will be on 2 Blu-rays, or that Midgar itself is on 2 Blu-ray
I imagine it's just
discs.
that. Is that condensed? Like,
yeah. I better not get my save data
like
corrupt
40,
again,
50 hours.
Square Enix.
well, then download the digital version then. Then you don't have to
So it's going to be like 400 gigabytes.
100 maybe. I don't know.
So there's one more character that comes in Midgar, but he comes in very, very late. It's Red 13. He's sort of the last party member you get before you leave into the world map. And I wonder if they're going to let us play as him in this remake.
I mean, I would assume they would.
I would hope so.
Or maybe,
because for the people that are uninitiated, Red 13 is my favorite character in Final Fantasy VII.
Or maybe when you get up to that point in the game, then it's like, it's like, I'm sure you probably get to play as him for a bit, but then it like kind of goes into like, you know, they're about to go into the
endgame territory,
into the world, and it's like to be continued type of thing.
Well, one thing mechanic-wise I noticed is they use some of the mechanics from some of the other games. Like, I noticed some of the Final Fantasy 13 stuff was in there.
Yeah, staggering.
Yeah,
staggering
was back. I don't know if they did the fucking switching thing. I can't remember the name of it in 13.
No. Well, I mean, this is the first time that you're able to switch between, even in 15 you would have to like cast a magical spell to switch over to Ignis after they implemented it. This is the first time this game allows you to move between the characters seamlessly.
That was
like neat. If you see like a ray gun up in the rafters, you can get Barrett to shoot at it. Also, this is a small detail, but I'm super stoked that they're keeping the enemy designs from Final Fantasy VII, like the original.
Yeah.
Because some of them are goofy, some of them are silly, right? Like Apps, for example, in the sewers. He's super, super silly, but they're not updating him to look all like grimy and gross and undead. No, he's colorful. He's still blue. His tongue is sticking out. He's doing his sort of monkey swings and hitting Cloud and jumping on top of him and hitting him. Like, I like to see that type of stuff. Like, even in the first reactor thing, you see these like little tiny, I call them pyreflies, but they're like these weird search drones that are like green and have like little red heads. You see Cloud fighting them. So it's really cool to see that they're not just being like, oh, we just created a bunch of more gritty, dark, mutated monsters. No, they're keeping with the colorful aspect.
They probably won't show this
before
the game comes out. This will probably have to be something that you see in the game. But I'm interested to see things like Ultima Weapon, like shit like that, because that thing's basically just it's a big torso essentially with tentacles. So I'm interested to see how they turn that into the PS4 generation.
But, well, that's the thing. All right, I think you mean Ultros. The
Ultros,
thing is
yeah.
Ultros. The Ultima Weapon, he's actually super badass. He's actually, I would arguably say, most people's favorite interpretation of the Ultima Weapon, which things like 14 and other like Final Fantasy, like I want to say Final Fantasy praisers, like those games that always come out that's all about the fan service of them. They always use that version of the Ultima Weapon. When they usually put them into like things like phone games and Brave Exodus, which I guess we could speak that's a mobile game is getting a sequel.
Yeah,
that is the thing. Just to not talk about Final Fantasy VII, it looks really, really good. It's super cool that it has a release date. And from what I'm hearing for the people that have played it on the floor, the only problem seems to be the frame rate issue, but a lot of people are attributing that to the fact that the monitors and other things that people were playing this game on were just awful, apparently. Apparently, this year's game floor has not been very good for the game demos.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see. There's so much more that Square showed off than just Final Fantasy VII. It is ridiculous. They are going back to their RPG roots this year. Holy garbo.
Do you know the one that I was completely surprised about? The fucking Final Fantasy VIII remaster.
Fuck that.
First of all, whatever. Second of all, that game, remind me, CJ, that game was lost, wasn't it? Its source code was lost.
Yes. During, I believe it wasn't the tsunami, it was the earthquake, the major earthquake that they had over there. They lost the source code for Kingdom Hearts, the original Kingdom Hearts, and Final Fantasy VIII. The servers that the original source code were kept on, they lost them. And this is the reason why it took so long for 8 to get a remaster. But so many people were bitching and moaning about it. They're like, well, what if we just took the PC version that we still have lying around and fix it? And the game looks great. I mean, it's kind of sad that the meme of Squall at the dinner function where Renoa goes up to him is like, you're the best looking guy here. And it zooms in on his face and it's like all contorted and pixelated. You know, like, yeah, it's kind of sad that we can't make fun of that small aspect of the game anymore. But you know, it's needed, and 8 will always be, I guess, in any case, using a term that Bondi uses a lot, it was really a black sheep in the PlayStation Final Fantasies. It had so many different mechanics and so many different things going about it that it was very unfocused as a game, but hell, I'll play it again.
I am looking forward to drawing magic again in high definition.
Hell yeah. And I mean, the character models have been updated. They actually updated them. They're not just, it's not like Final Fantasy VII. I see you shaking your head, SCR.
I don't care. Final Fantasy VIII.
If you don't like it, it's fine.
I don't think Final Fantasy VIII is an amazing game, but I still had fun playing it.
I don't like 8 either, but I know it has its fans, and everyone likes Triple Triad.
I didn't like Final Fantasy VII, but I at least got past the first disc. FF8, I couldn't even stomach that much.
That's what
the first disc is super short too.
Actually, it's a 7 remake.
It's not as short as 9's first disc.
Actually, it's a 7.
9's first disc had so many cinematics that it you played maybe about 45 minutes.
That makes me wonder, like, because that game's all going to be in 4x3, but like it seemed like some stuff was like in 16:9. So did they redo some of the graphics or something?
Well, it's based off of the PC version, right? So it's already kind of up-resed to begin with.
Yeah.
But like there's certain things where sometimes when they force aspect ratios in some of these older games, the backgrounds look okay, but the character models and like certain parts of the map that aren't supposed to be seen because it used to be 4x3 rather than 16:9, you see sort of the kinks behind some of the like how they rendered the game and how they actually put it together.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling they'll probably stick with the 4x3, but they may be upscaling it to 16:9 to work with modern PS4s and TVs.
I'll say like even though only half this podcast really cares about this game right now, I think it's great that it actually is getting re-released because it was the only one of the PS1 post era that didn't get a re-release before because of the whole source code being lost thing. So they took what they had and they tried to improve on it. So we'll see what happens when it comes out. Maybe it'll play better.
Yeah. Well, it won't play better. It'll play the same.
No.
Like if we take any indication from FF7 and FF9, like they play exactly the same. This isn't like 10 or 10.2 equivalent where they or even 12. Where they took the international versions that had multiple different like aspects to them, new bosses, new mechanics. Like we never got special versions of Final Fantasy VIII that I'm aware of. I know 7 technically did because the North American.
Well, doesn't the PC version have like fixes and shit? I thought it did.
Yeah, and the script was updated in 7, and the American version of 7 had the Ruby and Emerald weapon, where the Japanese version didn't have them as special bosses. But like that was the last time. I don't even think 9 had a special boss in it. It wasn't until 10 that they started bringing that back, because Ozma was in all versions of 9.
Do you want to Do you want to talk about? I regret. I'm kind of feel like I'm going to regret asking this, but do you want to talk about the 14 expansion?
So this is the part where CJ talks about it.
I'll talk about it very briefly. What is happening is our character is going like, think of the easiest way to describe it is think of like the universe that you live in. It's like a mother crystal that we live on, but some big cataclysm happened and a piece of it flew off. And like not just one piece, like 13 other pieces, hence 14, yada yada yada. They love their fucking number motif. But we're traveling to another shard that has been completely taken over by the game the thing they call light. Right? There's always, when it comes to Final Fantasies, there's always light versus dark, and that's sort of it. It's super exciting. We get to play as Viera if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
You also get you get Rothgar, but I just call them Ronso because that's what they are. So you get Ronso and Viera, though they are gender locked at this moment in time. We don't know if they're going to get male and female counterparts, but
they kind of were in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance anyway. So
yeah, and the backlash for them not having bunny boys and kitty and I guess lion girls or whatever was the fact that I think Square and Yoshi P and the people of 14. They have it. It was a story trailer. This was the first time we got to see the story of why we're going there and what's going to happen while we're there. So that was pretty cool. And the big reveal story-wise was the fact that Heidelin and Zodiark, who we assumed were the gods of this world, ended up just being primals like Ifrit and Shiva. They were summoned. So that's like the big reveal. And that's all I really need to tell about it. Gunbreaker and Dancer are coming out. I think I may have talked about this before. So you get to play as Squall if you feel like it. And you also dance around and buff your party members as a support DPS as a dancer.
But are they adding Calculator?
Not yet.
Fuck.
Not yet. But the raid content, which they've gone over a little bit, is it's Eden. And the biggest thing in Final Fantasy VIII was the Eden summon, was the very final summon. So it seems that we may be getting a Final Fantasy VIII, at least one of those raid tiers is going to be dedicated to a bunch of bosses from Final Fantasy VIII. It's pretty cool.
If I can play as a Viera Red Mage, I'm good.
Yeah, and you will be.
One thing I will say is some of the people who were at my stream who were watching it, they were like, didn't really know much about it. Like, I think one person mentioned, oh, this is all cutscene. I'm like, no, they don't have cutscenes. They use, everything's in engine. Somebody's like,
everything's in engine.
I'm like, yeah, they don't do CGs. They just use the engine for everything.
The only CGs are the huge big trailers, right? Like the Shadowbringers like release.
Yeah.
Trailer.
Well, those obviously are, but
you never get in-game cutscenes at that level. They're all in engine. Like
exactly. Let's see. What else did they
Final
have?
Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
They did show more of that, but
they show more of that. At first, when I saw the little iOS thing pop up, I was about to like lose my shit. But they were very, very much open that we'll be able to play this online. Thank goodness, because that was one thing I was worried about, is like it would only be local, but no, you can play online. And the only complaint is someone's gotta be Bucket Bitch. Who wants to be Bucket Bitch?
Just carry the thing around, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like that's the only thing about that game that can sometimes be a little annoying, is like the 4 people can play, but there's always one person that's gotta carry around the
turns.
We'll take turns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, CJ, is like you and I have been wanting to do like a 4-person playthrough of Crystal Chronicles for a while, but getting all the Game Boy Advance cables and the Game Boys and all the shit with the GameCube was a pain in the ass. So now, the fact that it's going to be online, it'll be much easier for us all to play this game. So
exactly,
I'd be down.
Yeah, I definitely want to set up some kind of like stream or Let's Play or something.
It also has voice acting. Like there's going to be they're adding a bunch of stuff to it too.
This is like the Game of the Year edition version of Crystal Chronicles.
Of Crystal Chronicles,
which is great.
Or a basic remaster, yeah.
Yeah. It's really great. We're gonna have to set up a thing between me, you, Billy, and I forget who else was interested in this that I know, but we'll figure it out. Set up a sesh of this game. So, but yeah, Crystal Chronicles, really hyped for that. Let's see.
Dragon Quest 11 Switch version, which you can play the game completely in 2D, which is really
neat.
They
use the Dragon Quest 5 engine for it. It looks like that's interesting.
They announced that. The Trials of Mana came out in the Nintendo Direct, technically.
Yeah, but that's not Square.
That is still Square, technically. So this is where we can give the floor over to Scott. Are you happy with what they showed, or do you think it's like the Secret of Mana? Because this one seems a little bit different than Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana was like a direct port thing that was sort of 3D upscale. Well, see, here's the thing.
Like this is going ahead to Nintendo, but they shadow dropped Collection of Mana, which has the original versions of the three original games. Yeah. But this is like a remake. I'll let Scott talk about it because he knows what he's talking about.
Well, part of the reason I said fuck FF8 earlier is we haven't been talking about the way that they've presented all this stuff at E3. And the way they led into that was, and this is a quote, "To the fans who have been waiting."
I thought that was Seiken Densetsu 3 is what it was going to be.
And they knew what was coming later. So... Yeah.
Well,
but anyway,
they say that for Nintendo.
That's comparing two separate series that have very different fan bases.
Yeah, but
I love the Mana series, but it's like saying, Final Fantasy compared to the Tales of series.
Yeah, but if you're not a fan of Final Fantasy VIII and you're expecting to see something else, then you're just going to get mad over it.
I think the thing is, I was expecting them to show it at Square Enix, but in the back of my head, I'm like, if they're going to show it, they're going to fucking show it in Nintendo. Because
exactly. That's what I figured afterwards too.
Yeah. But Scott, sorry, continue.
Actually, should we do this now or just go through the Nintendo Direct?
Is there anything else?
Is there anything else from
the Romancing Saga 2 and 3? That's the only thing other thing I could think of.
What was that, sorry?
Romancing Saga 2 and 3?
Yes, the Romancing Saga thing. Oh my god! I was so excited for that.
A series that I always forget about, but then remember that
I was so excited for that. One, they're translating Romancing Saga 3. Which is fucking awesome, even though I just fucking bought it in Japanese a couple months ago. And they're remastering one of the later Saga games. I haven't played it, but I've seen footage of it, and that's really cool that they did that. I wish they put more of the games on there. Why not put Romancing Saga 1 and 2 on there, but...
Well, it's 2 and 3.
You know what? They're just getting 2 of the Saga games.
Does it play like Dragon Quest 11, where you can either play it in 2D or also play it in 3D? Or are they separate
No,
things?
These are separate things. Romancing Saga 3...
Because the way they presented it made it seem like they were one and the same.
Okay, so they're two different games in the Saga series. Romancing Saga 3 is going to be basically the Super Famicom version translated with new visual effects added to it. They're adding more animations and shit.
It's widescreen.
Yeah. And the other Saga game, I know less about it, but from what I understand, it's a remaster of the original release of that game, because I think it came out on in the PS2 GameCube era.
Yeah, I was about to say it looks like a PS2 or a GameCube game.
Yeah, it's basically an up-res for that one. The visual enhancements they're adding to Romancing Saga 3 is just a new thing. But the fact that they're we're getting a new translation for it, that's the thing that I care about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
it's always like I said, for me personally, it's one of those things where I always forget about it and then realize I'm like, oh yeah, I remember.
I feel bad about forgetting about it.
Some of the Romancing Sagas when, what was it? In the dark days of when emulation was the thing with the internet and stuff. I remember that's when I played games like that, because things like that and Black Lagoon and stuff like that. But yeah, there was also another game like Scarlet Grace or something like that was sort of announced, but we didn't really get to see what it was all about.
The interesting thing that I'll say about their whole press conference is a lot of people were surprised they started with Final Fantasy VII, but I think they did that because they wanted to end with Avengers.
That.
Yeah.
Avengers looks okay.
Looks okay.
The glorious 20 seconds of gameplay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or, something that kind of resembles gameplay, or at least conceptually.
Some of it looked like it was gameplay, but they just, hid the UI. Mm-hmm. When Captain America was, what I like to call the Captain Kick, where he, knees people and they go, halfway across the universe. It happens in the Marvel movies a lot. You'll never unsee it. He has like Captain Falcon's super knee from Smash. Whenever he's kicking people around. But like, I don't know. Maybe it's because we're hot off the end of like Endgame and Infinity War and stuff like that it was supposed to be this big reveal, but it kind of was just like, okay.
Well, here's the thing. I think people are kind of thrown off because it's obviously they obviously couldn't get the actors' likenesses for these characters, and of course you can argue, well, they're comic book characters. You can just go with any design for this interpretation of them. It doesn't have to be based off of the movies.
Yeah,
so
but they look like stunt doubles. Like it's so. I think that's the weirdest thing is that all of them look close enough to their movie actors, but they look like they're the stunt doubles that would do all the action set pieces.
You idiots! You capture their stunt doubles.
Yeah, exactly.
I retweeted someone who did that joke. Yeah.
The only other thing I can think of is they announced briefly a Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC.
Oh right, yeah, Remind or Re:*Mind. It's just more. Sorry, spoilers. Zigbar shit.
Yar, Zigbar.
Yeah,
is that even a word?
Yar, Zigbar. Yeah, I
all their names have
some...
X's in them.
Because remember, at the end of the day, who was the real mastermind of the whole thing? It was Zigbar. Thanks, Nomura. Thanks,
it's so
Nomura.
dumb.
That's all we wanted.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, but who cares? It's Disney. It's
the
Square.
Fucking pirate
People
guy is behind it all. Like, fucking dumb.
Yeah, he's behind
Spoilers.
the whole thing. But who cares? Like, at this point, it's just DLC. It's cool. They're still working on it, but it seems that most of Square's, or at least internal Square, is being shifted over to Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Or FF7, sorry.
Yeah.
With some of the smaller titles being worked on by smaller divisions within the company.
All right. I think it's time for Nintendo. What about you guys?
I'd say so.
Let's get this. Let's talk half an hour more and then end at that 3 hour mark.
I gotta start off with the first, like, this entire thing was hype, but the thing that really got me into it was the very first announcement where they announced the heroes from Dragon Quest as playable characters in Smash. One character
Those
with
are all
different skins, I guess.
Yeah,
And fucking,
four characters.
fucking. When they showed Erdrick, I got really hype. Or Roto, whatever. He's got
the first
three
guy.
names. The first guy. The guy from the first two games. It seems like the moveset is the same, but like they have different kind of like animations or something.
I'm pretty
There's something
sure they're
different
skins.
about each skin. The hero from Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest 8's in this, and 8's one of the best games in the series. And like,
well, of course, the front runner
really
is.
Yeah, I like the mechanics too. The menu mechanic thing where you're like go into like a thinking posture and then you can use the specific move. That's pretty neat, but I don't know how good it will be in chaotic Smash battles.
I'm sure it'll still.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
it's another sword character I actually care about.
Yeah, that was. I remember that. That was the universal Nintendo groan of, oh boy, more swords.
Yeah, but he's unique enough.
He has
a
such
lot of
unique
people were
mechanics.
happy about that though. Like that was unexpected.
I mean, it's been
He reminds me
rumored-
of Robin a little bit, which I think is really good. It's like a more intricate, advanced Robin rather than it being sort of like a rotation through his books.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
So Bowser shows up. I mean, Doug Bowser.
It was silly, but I really thought it was cute. I was like, yeah,
it was neat. It was
like
it was
Bowser
funny.
got all dressed up. He got his tie out and everything. He was all ready for this, and then he realizes
you can't not do it.
that
Exactly.
you can't. Yeah, you're right. Scott.
And then
like, you just
Bowser's
can't
like,
not.
"Oh, not me. Oh."
It's like,
And I love how they did the thing where he tries to leave off the stage left. And they're like, "No, that way." Also,
Poor
is
guy.
is the? I have to ask now: is the Nintendo universe the same as the Star Wars one, where everybody speaks different languages and they just understand each other?
I don't know. Bowser
Bowser has spoken.
No, not
before.
Bowser. I'm talking about the Japanese guy was talking Japanese, and then Doug Bowser was speaking English.
he was dubbed over though.
I know.
It was dubbed over.
I know.
yeah.
I know. It's still. I thought it was silly.
It was silly, but it was fun.
So one of the first things they showed after that was
Yes.
we just mentioned 3.
Yes! Oh, thank God, it looks so
It
good
does.
now. I was so worried when they originally showed it that I was like, I don't know. Something
You were
seems a little
skeptical.
off.
I knew you were skeptical.
I was skeptical. I'm not anymore. And you know what? And you know why? You know why, Zero?
Why?
You know why, right? 3 letters. CDI. It's a hotel.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
Hotel
entire
Mario.
thing takes place in a haunted hotel.
I watched when I was doing my notes for this because I did it after this stream. I listened to the new Nintendo New York store reaction. One guy's like, "Yeah, Hotel Mario 2."
Yeah, I saw that and I immediately was like, "Yes, Hotel Mario 2." Or like its spiritual successor. And it's a perfect way of getting multiple different types of unique and interesting ghosts into the story. And obviously like Mario and Peach and all of them are trapped in there too, so you have to help and save them. I think it's a good evolution than going from a mansion to, I guess, multi-mansion. It was kind of weird in Dark Moon, whereas in this
it was pretty mission based, where it's like you did a thing, but then it's like, good work, okay, let's get you back to the lab, and they did the score tallies and everything, and you went back in. It seems like this is not doing that at the very least, because it's like, well, they did that back in Dark Moon because it was like handheld structured, but this is more at least a little bit more open, or at least it's like floor based, because you take on, like, I guess, a boss in each floor of a different themed floor. So that actually, but that seems at least a good progression of taking a Dark Moon style and then adding some new stuff to it.
And now we have Guigi.
That was actually in the 3DS version. He did.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It was a co-op thing in the 3DS version, but now it's like a full-on mechanic and a co-op partner too.
Isn't there multiplayer with multiple Luigis and Guigis?
Yeah, it's like up to 8 people. In the multiplayer component.
That's part of their mission, like the mission-based thing that Blondie was talking about from 2. They're sort of they're transferring that over to the multiplayer aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
where you guys have room clears.
it looks similar to the multiplayer from Dark Moon, but they're expanding on that as well, which is good.
And it's online, apparently, too. So.
Yeah, you can do it online.
The single-player campaign, Guigi can be controlled by a second controller.
Yeah, it's co-op in there.
So you can both be doing stuff at the same time, whereas if you're only playing it single-player, Luigi goes into a slump, like he falls asleep, and then you move Guigi around by himself.
Okay. So yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 is looking pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, it looks good.
It didn't get a release date, though.
They said 2019.
This year.
That's what they said.
Okay. Which means hopefully not delayed.
A year window.
Yeah. So, one of the more interesting titles, the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics, was one I was like, what is this? I don't really know. It had that fucking creepy puppet. I remember that from the reveal.
It's based off the Netflix series, which is reviving the Dark Crystal movie series.
Yeah, and it's like a tactical RPG, which looks really fun.
They're using practical effects to make it. Ooh, so there's going to be very little CG from what that Netflix has been stating about this series. And that's why that thing was a puppet. He wasn't CG or anything like that. It was like, no, they're trying to make a very practical looking, I guess it kind of feels more 80s and 90s sort of like
it looked really fantasy. Good and the game looked pretty fun too. So I'm kind of excited for that, and now I want to check out the Netflix series because it sounds like it's going to be fun.
Well, it did its job then.
Yeah, SCR, were you going to say something?
No.
Every time I think like you're getting up to say something and somebody cuts you off, I feel like, I don't know.
No, trust me, I'm the one that's getting cut off, but I'm not gonna complain.
And I'm bad because I get excited.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Stop apologizing, Canadians.
Fuck you then. So we got another trailer for Link's Awakening.
Yes.
The main feature they showed off is you can arrange your own dungeons.
Yeah,
with rooms that have already been pre-created.
Yeah,
you can't create your own room.
It looks like you get rooms of dungeons, and then you place them in a way, and then you go through them, and then you get rewards at the end for completing them, which is a fun new inclusion.
And they announced the release date September 20th.
Yes.
So it's coming. I forgot to pre-order that shit.
I'm looking quite forward to that. It looks good.
But now, we've got to talk about.
No More Heroes 3?
No,
It's
I'm not
happening?
there yet.
Oh, okay.
I went in order here. We got to talk about Trials of Mana.
Here we go.
SCR.
Yeah. Yeah, just hand it over to Scott.
I would like to read an excerpt from Next Generation magazine dated February 1996. Because of so-called programming faults that Square considers impossible to fix during the process, Secret of Mana 2 has effectively had its US release cancelled. By the way, do not read the rest of this article. It's terrible. Like, I don't know what this person was thinking when they wrote the rest of this. But anyway, I have a retrospective on the Seiken Densetsu series, which is what the Mana series is called in Japan. And I've openly stated a couple of times now, Secret of Mana is my favorite game of all time. I played the shit out of it as a kid. I had a friend of mine who lived like 2 blocks away from my home that we just co-opted the entire game. And then recently, like for that video that I did on it, I had 2 other friends of mine, because I had the like multi-tap controller thing, so all 3 of us could play to the end of the game. It's almost like a rite of passage now for like people who are really good friends of mine that we eventually just end up playing Secret of Mana together. So I was really looking forward to the next game in the series, but it never came out. I mean, we got Secret of Evermore, but that's, well,
A little bit of
Sort
a
of
different...
its
It's
own
just
different
okay
thing.
from what I hear.
it's okay, but like the scope of the sequel was what caught my interest in it. And going back to why I was so pissed off about the fans who have been waiting thing, I've been waiting 24 years for this game to get localized in the West. And here we are. And not only that, the remake is also coming west.
Mhm. So, and what's great about this is they now, like, there's an English name now for Seiken Densetsu 3, Trials of Mana. I mean,
Yeah, I think
people were
that's
probably
cool.
expecting Secret of Mana 2, but
It fits more thematically with Second Densetsu 3, though.
Well, that's like going back to the other games in the collection. Secret of Mana was originally referred to as Final Fantasy Adventure 2. So
yeah, that's true. That was in your video. But the thing about it is, like, the first thing they showed was the remake, and I didn't quite know what it was until I saw the main character, because I remembered how it looked, and I was like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah, no, when they showed Durin, I knew exactly who. And then Angela popped up, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
we're
It's
going.
when she, I'm like, okay, I know what this is now.
This is exactly what I think
What
it is.
weird are my
Yeah.
parents?
Yeah.
SCR, what was your initial
Dialect.
reaction to the remake that they were showing?
okay, so don't tell my boss this. I was watching the Nintendo Direct on my phone at work. I share an office with a couple other people, but I have like Bluetooth headphones, so I had it going on my phone, kind of off in the corner, and I was just glancing at it while just clicking around on my monitor, pretending to work. And like I saw the Square Enix logo pop up, I heard the music, I saw the characters kick in, and I was just stunned. Like I knew the news about like I think Collection of Mana eventually going to Europe, but like both Europe and North America have been screwed over in the past with like one getting something and then not going to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really like couldn't believe it was actually happening. And then I watched it again when I got home from work just to make sure that I didn't imagine what just happened.
And then immediately after the remake, they shadow drop that Collection of Mana is available that day.
Actually, hold on. Let me pull up how I reacted on Twitter.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, so here is exactly what I said. Where of parentheses divided by multiply 9 caret 1 and less than at greater than divided ampersand minus ampersand tilde spade less than exclamation point greater than yen tilde diamond dot heart square.
Just slam keyboard.
Did you basically just do one of these?
No, he put heart square at the end.
Yeah.
It was almost a complete thought of happiness and joy.
Yeah, this is definitely like one of the coolest announcements to finally get that localized, and the remake is looking pretty good too. I'd say it looks better than the Secret of Mana and the first game's remakes.
The Secret of Mana one was like staying very in line with what the original did, whereas
very
the Trials remake is taking a few more liberties.
Yeah, because those were like 1-to-1 remakes kind of, and then this is more so of its own expanded like fully 3D type of thing.
Yeah, the other thing too is that like the Secret of Mana one, like they didn't want to change like probably anything about it because they knew that people would be upset if they did. But with Trials of Mana, like it almost seems like they're using a later game's battle system and stuff, like to make it more. It's different. It's not like just I would call the Secret of Mana remake a shot for shot remake, as they use in the movie business. Whereas
1-to-1.
the Trials of Mana one is like a whole different experience.
Mm-hmm. It seems like it shares the engine from Secret of Mana.
Yeah, they definitely borrowed some tech there.
Though some of the way that the combat looked to me kind of looked a little bit like Dawn of Mana on the PS2.
There are a couple similarities in that regard.
Yeah, that's one thing that stuck out to me just a little bit, but I mean, that's fine. They could have. It's probably going to be way more polished than Dawn was. Yeah. But like those are like the small little things that I noticed when they showed it off, and I'm interested to see if they either make it so we can swap characters on the fly so everybody's a part of your party, or it's like the original where you choose 3 and that's your party for the game. And some of them share storylines, some of them don't. And like certain pairings worked well because it gave a different aspect to the story. There's so much about Seiken Densetsu 3 that is really, really good. And I hope that it translates over to the remake. Now, obviously, we have the original in the Collections Edition, so it's not like it's getting rewritten or overhauled or anything like that. But still, I would like to see those elements make their way into the remake, too, and not just sort of streamline the story, because that was the coolest thing. Like, seeing the relationship between some of the characters in Seiken Densetsu 3 was, like, the selling point of it.
Yeah, like, I just like, and the thing is that I think of is if people don't like the remake, like the collection's out now.
They can just fall back to that. Yeah.
I don't know if it's available, but if they have somehow online multiplayer in the Secret of Mana version on Switch, CJ, Scott, we're playing that. That's happening.
I'm down.
Dibs on the boy.
I'm down.
Dibs on Arby's.
I'm a fourth wheel, apparently.
I'll be the little gremlin. It's fine.
But yeah, needless to say, this was the thing that I also was hoping Square Enix was going to talk about. But after it, I realized Nintendo's probably going to talk about this.
Yeah, because the collection was for the Switch.
Yeah. But that's great. I've already pre-ordered my physical version of the collection and put in a pre-order for Trials of Mana. That was instant. We're not even halfway through this conference, by the way.
We'll get through it. Just
one of the
going.
big things. Well, I'm not for time. I'm just saying.
Just keep going.
They had a lot of shit to show off.
Nintendo definitely had, I think, the most substantial announcements.
Just really quick, rapid fire. They showed Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition's coming for Switch, which is a lot of people have been saying they want The Witcher on Switch. So it's
there you go.
For those people, it's cool that it's finally happening. I might actually fucking play the game now.
Resident Evil 5 and 6
were announced.
All right,
CJ, do you want us to restart our Let's Play of 5?
Oh my god, on the Switch, for Christ's sake? You know what? Probably wouldn't be
Blondie,
so bad.
you want to edit that?
Actually. Regardless, that means like every single one of the Resident Evils are on there now, except for
2
3.
and
except
3.
for 3 and 2. Oh wait, 2. No.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, 2
I was kind of
doesn't-
like, I thought they were announcing Resident Evil 7 for Switch when they showed that trailer.
The only thing they ever did with 7 was, I think it was only in Japan. They did like a cloud version or something of 7 for the Switch, something like that. And I don't.
Okay.
I guess they didn't felt like it wouldn't transition well over here. So
Yeah.
We got a cinematic trailer for Fire Emblem: The Three Houses. There was no gameplay, which it's starting to become concerning for me because the game is coming out.
Yeah, they announced
soon.
the release date is July 26th. I did pre-order it.
And everybody likes the story of Fire Emblem. They like they like the waifu simulator-esque part of it. But it is kind of scary that they've been really keeping the gameplay like behind closed doors. So there may be a Nintendo Direct that's just completely dedicated to the gameplay of it pretty soon.
Didn't they though?
But I was hoping to see a little bit more in-game stuff rather than their like hyper anime cutscenes. And obviously the kink in the armor, and I've always said this, is it's bad when the English version has some guy yelling about how we have to bring lightness to the darkness.
Oh, your dark soul is light.
Well, yeah. Like it feels very like early 2000s anime yelling, and I was like, oh, this. I was hoping for a little bit more than just like, Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, we joke about the fact that it's Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but it's starting to sound like Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's
GX,
fair.
too.
SCR, you were going to say something?
They showed Three Houses on Nintendo Treehouse, so you should check that out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't check some of the tree houses, so I will afterwards. Thank you.
I did pre-order it, though, so that one's coming in. Because I made the mistake with the last Fire Emblem game, not buying it until it was too late, and now I can't find it, so...
Between Nintendo and Limited Run, I'm in pre-order hell.
Yeah, I hear you. So there was a string of announcements that came out that all got me excited. First and foremost, what a lot of people were probably expecting, No More Heroes 3 is coming in 2020. They didn't give a date, but No More Heroes 3 is happening. By the way, Travis Touchdown is officially the first Kamen Rider of the Reiwa era.
I was about to say, didn't he even say Henshin or something?
He did. And his transformation device is a hand thing, but it adds the visor, and the suit gets made from the visor. And also, what I love, I went back and I paused and looked at some of the stuff. He has a rider belt, but it's kind of sideways because.
So what you're saying is that he is the personification of Kamina.
I guess maybe a little bit. I don't know that much about Travis Touchdown to say, but officially he's the first Kamen Rider of the Reiwa era. So
of course now you're invested because of that.
Well, I mean, I own the first 2 No More Heroes games. I haven't played them, but I've been wanting to. So I think I talked to you after, Blondie. I said I was thinking of streaming them to play through them to get ready for 3. So
you could. I mean, I finally started playing through 2 because of that. So I have that in Travis Strikes Again. I haven't played through those 2.
I know you guys know more about it than I do, so but I definitely have always been interested in them. That and Mad World's another one I gotta play through. I need to
That's
finish.
another good one.
SCR, anything from that?
Just happy to see it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's good to see. There's not a lot to look at. Like, do you think it was in engine? Because we did see him with some of his traditional Wii controls where you move left and move right to do
that
certain
could have just
actions.
been overlaid over the CG trailer type of thing.
Okay.
It looked like a CG trailer. I don't think they're going to look quite as good as that, but it might still be, at least somewhat look like that.
Okay. One of the other things that is hype as hell, and what I would refer to as a stop skeletons from fighting game, because it's just fucking dumb and fun, Contra Rogue Core. It looks dumb. It just looks like dumb fun. I love it.
I didn't know it was a Contra game until it actually stated that
it looks so dumb and fun. I want to play it now.
I picked up on Contra because they were saying terms like alien this character was from the Alien Wars and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh wait, this is Contra, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes out September 24th, and I can't wait.
I haven't played a lot of Contra, so it didn't really stick out for me personally.
The only thing
it looks kind of. fun.
The only thing that I guess would maybe turn some people off is that it doesn't. It's not like the prettiest looking game. It's not like super high quality.
It's
polygon.
Like Battletoads. This one's getting a lot of
look,
backlash because of its look.
It does look a little rough because it's probably not like the super highest budget game that Konami's putting out for this, obviously. And the fact that it's more of like a 3D-ish style game, I guess like the one PS2 game Neo Contra.
Yeah.
And when people think Contra, they think more side-scrolling instead of the 3D ones, which
but
are not as
that
popular.
was only one of the PS2, PS1 era.
Yeah, and it doesn't look as bad as the first 3D Contra, which was Contra Legacy. That was pretty bad.
It's just so dumb. I want it.
I mean, it could be. It could just be dumb fun, but yeah.
But the other thing about that is right after that they shadow dropped Contra Anniversary Collection.
That's also cool. Yeah, it includes even like the Pro Protector versions that Europe got.
The only thing that I'm a little sad about is this doesn't have Contra 4. This collection.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they had put it in there, even if they just made it like this much of the screen. I still would have.
I mean, the arcade versions are like vertically, so it's like they could have done.
Or what they could have done is made. Yeah, you play the Switch vertically to play it. That would be kind of neat. But
you can do that with like Donkey Kong.
I would have thrown out the Pro Protectors and put that in instead. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
SCR thoughts? Contra?
More interested in the collection, really.
Yeah.
Well, it's available, so.
The other thing that I was really excited for is they fucking showed a remaster of Panzer Dragoon.
Yes, I was.
No, it's a remake. It's like a straight up remake.
Oh my god, it looks so good! I can't wait.
I was stoked to see that.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone was.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was
expecting. I could not pre-order
Panzer.
this one. It wasn't in the system yet. So, but when I can, it's happening.
Yeah, well, they even stated that like it was very early in development. Like it's
coming out in the winter.
The concept and letting us know.
Yeah,
but that's still like
little ways away.
Yeah.
There's still a ways.
That's true.
There's still 6+ months, and who knows? They always like Sega is notorious for pushing things back.
I'm glad they are doing this because the original Panzer Dragoon is not an easy game to get nowadays. Obviously, so the accessibility and availability of it is nice because otherwise it's like, well, either you got it back when it came out for the Saturn, or you shell out a lot of money for it. If you
I accidentally own 2 copies of it.
Okay, then. Well, and the only other way to play it was to unlock it in Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is the Xbox one.
Yeah. But Orta now, because of that fact, has gone up in price, so...
Yeah, but you can get it on Xbox One, so...
Yeah, that's true.
It's backwards compatible.
So, yeah. So, there has been a way to play a up-res version, or well, not up-res, but like a perfect res version of that game, but it's just nice that we're getting a solid remaster of it, and I'm hoping this means the other Panzer Dragoon games might get remasters, like, if this one does well.
It depends upon how much
like,
this
Panzer
one
Dragoon
sells.
Saga is, like, one of the hardest games to get a hold of.
Oh yeah, that one's probably the hardest.
It's like
of that series.
It's like hundreds of dollars in cost to get one. I'm pretty much set that I will never ever get that game in my Saturn collection unless I find someone who doesn't know what they have. That's the only time I'll ever get that game. So
that's me with Snatcher.
Yeah, like, I mean, the only time I got lucky with that was with a certain Super Nintendo game that I'm not going to mention. So I know I saw that shaking fist. But yeah, that's
dig up Musha.
I think it's really cool that this is happening, and I hope that people latch onto this and they remaster the other ones, because that's going to be awesome. They did show they did show some more stuff for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I know we talked about it like hours ago, but the main thing I want to talk about is they added Pokeball Plus functionality. So if you already have the Pokeball Plus from
it acts like a Pokewalker.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, that's what it did in
Pokewalker.
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Like, it did the same thing. It's doing the same thing here, but I guess there are more benefits they're adding by putting a Pokemon in it.
Well, yeah, they're just trying to justify this piece of plastic that they shoved down people's throats with Let's Go.
But the other thing that I want to talk about is they revealed a new gym leader, Nessa, and it took 10 minutes for there to be porn.
That's the important fact we have to take from this, yes.
I was about to say, like, her design is really well done.
She's one of the cooler looking
really well in the universe.
Like this and Big Beefy Boy, which we forgot to talk about. The other gym leader they revealed before.
Well, he's one of the Elite Four, isn't he?
No, I think he's the first gym leader, I think.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was the first member of the Elite Four.
You're not thinking about I've Never Lost guy. He's the champion. I'm talking about guy who looks like a big fat bug catcher. That dude.
Yeah, he's a
he is pretty
bug
swole.
catcher.
He's like Kylo Ren swole.
Yeah. No, he's got that superhero V shape to him.
I don't know. I still think he's Kylo Ren swole, like his pants.
All right. Well, I mean, it was really cool that they showed some of those, some more of the NPCs. They showed a little bit more of the big grand battles and everything like that. It was really just a greatest hits version of the Pokemon Direct when they showed it off.
That's coming out. I think they also announced there's going to be a 2-pack. That's the thing too. So if people want both versions, they can get a 2-pack.
Astral Chain got an actual story. Got an actual story trailer. So we know a little bit more about what it's about, and I still have no idea what it's about.
It looks awesome.
Extra.
Except we're angry police people that have robots that are connected to us via our astral chains.
Basically there's like extra dimensional beings that are like invading, and they devised a way to basically like to capture and enslave them to help them deal with the rest type of thing. That's what I think that's how the gist of it.
All right, that seems pretty interesting. It's a platinum game. I'm definitely gonna pick it up.
So it's gonna play. So the combat itself is going to be smooth and fun as we would expect.
That was also on Nintendo Treehouse. Although, fair warning, a lot of the Japanese developers are there, and they are severely jet lagged.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. No, and you know what? That's fine. It is what it is. But yeah.
They did show like an extended thing about Dragon Quest builders too. This is the thing. It's like we're heading in on 3 hours here, and a lot of this stuff we could talk for hours, but they didn't really show a lot of like really interesting stuff until after in the Treehouse sections. If we're talking about just the conferences or the direct here, like we should be hitting through a couple more things because there's a little big reveal towards the end. And then an even bigger reveal after that. And those ones will take up some
Just a couple of things to go through real quick. First off, Astral Chain's release date is August 30th. So that's coming out. They showed a small trailer of this game called Empire of Sin, which looks like it's kind of like a LA Noire-esque adventure game.
It's being made by Romero Games. Is that John Romero?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Does he actually make games?
Yes.
It's announced to come out in spring 2020, so it's not coming out for a while, but
it could be
definitely looks interesting.
It could be like Gangster XCOM.
That could be interesting.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm getting from like the angles they showed.
They did a new trailer for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Comes out the
Ghost Rider was in it. That's all I care about.
Ghost Rider the Whip.
And look at all of our DLC
they
characters,
announced the expansion
Fantastic
pass.
Four, and the X-Men. So the X-Men aren't
Marvel
in
Knights,
the game.
That comes out in fall.
They are DLC, but all the DLC characters are free.
No expansion pass.
Oh no, it's six. Oh wait, I'm thinking of the other Marvel
one.
game.
The Avengers
one. The Avengers one. All the characters are free for that, but this one you have to pay to get the X-Men. Which is
Cadence of Hyrule came out 2 days ago. I really need to play Crypt of the Necrodancer.
This actually makes me want to play Crypt of the Necrodancer because I love Zelda.
I need to play it and play this new one. Mario and Sonic hype.
Yeah,
that game.
That was actually the low key
jerk
stealer
off the game.
Of the show.
Gets a third entry.
They're not bad. Though.
Nobody ever wants to play them with me.
Sonic Olympic games. I would.
I have brought it several times, and no one said, "Yeah, let's play it."
But you never pull it out. You're never like, "Let's play this."
I have the first two.
Channel. You're like, "Hey, look,
all right."
Do you
when
you
come down, when you fucking come down, we playing Mario and Sonic. We playing it when you coming down. All right.
All right.
Mario and Sonic.
When I come down, we're playing it. Playing
The
some
thing that
RSI.
everybody wanted to talk to see, though, more new stuff about the new Animal Crossing, which looks fucking beautiful.
Yes!
It looks good.
That looks great. I love it, and I like the fact that you could put your furniture outside.
What?
Oh my god. I know, right? It's like this crazy concept.
Well,
I can have a chair outside
I
now.
think the biggest concept that's actually pretty cool is that you're pretty much you just go to an island and then you just build your town from scratch. That's neat. That's a neat direction to go for Animal Crossing.
And it looks like there's going to be integrated multiplayer and everything.
Like
by the end of the trailer, they show a bunch of different people.
So Animal Crossing New Horizons is announced for March 20th, 2020. I don't know why I put 2019 in here. It's already released.
It's like,
no.
It's
It
out.
got delayed.
Shadow dropped 5 months before.
They showed a bunch of stuff
direct.
that's getting ported over, like Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Hollow Knight Silk Song, Ni no Kuni Remaster, kind of. Doom Eternal is coming to Switch.
The Bethesda stuff. The id Bethesda stuff's coming on Switch. Alien Isolation.
Dying Light is coming out for it. Stranger Things 3. Settlers of Catan.
There it is.
Super Lucky's Tale.
There it is. I was waiting.
Super
for
Lucky's Tale is getting ported to the Switch.
That's actually notable because
yeah.
it was originally an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, and of course Dauntless is coming in late 2019. So, and including the crossplay. So if you already are playing Dauntless, you can now transfer your file and play it when you're taking a shit.
Good
So there we go.
Okay, so we come to the end of the conference after Animal Crossing has been properly shown off, and I'm already on cloud 9.
Yeah.
So then they're like, we have one last thing to show you before we go. And then you're just like, oh, okay, what is it? And then it cuts to a wonderful CG trailer of our beautiful, beautiful monkey and his little chimpanzee and our fat crocodile man.
You see something bounce
Just
in.
chilling.
Just see something bounce in the screen.
Just see something
Like a
bounce in.
jiggy.
Yeah. It's
So
just
it's
sort of jingled
like those
in,
things
you know?
in what is it, Donkey Kong Country Returns that I call jiggies, but aren't actually jiggies. One of those.
They're just puzzle pieces.
Just one of the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the puzzle. No,
Yeah.
it's a fucking jiggy that.
It's a jiggy
jumps
bounces in. And then we get fucking trolled, which I was so happy for. Because they trolled King K. Rool, so it's befitting.
It was the fucking
that
Duck
they
Hunt dog
troll
and
us
him doing his
with
fucking
Duck Hunt.
thing.
Yeah. So well put together. And then obviously Banjo comes in and just beats the shit out of him with his banjo. And then it cuts back to King K. Rool and Donkey Kong and Diddy, and they're cheering. They are cheering because it's like, it's like the families reunited.
A rare union.
Yeah, it's a rare union.
And then when they show that Banjo's his thing comes up, it's like he's raring to go. They knew what they were
That's
doing.
Mosey.
Oh, exactly.
They definitely did. And all of his moves, I'm so surprised on how faithful and accurate they are.
Don't mess with Sakurai.
Yeah,
He knew.
Sakurai is always.
But he
7
still
steps
won't give
ahead of
us Waluigi.
That'll be the last DLC character for Smash. I am willing to put $10 on it that he will somehow squeak in at the last DLC character.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, Banjo plays pretty much what people... I saw a lot of people saying, like doing like videos about how he should play, and it kind of matches a lot what people thought, like with the eggs and shit, and this is the way it is. Spiral Mountain's a stage.
Yeah, and it looks like it actually rotates.
That's pretty neat.
Like the camera rotates around it, so it's like as people are fighting, it's just sort of just spinning around type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the whole first area of Banjo-Kazooie. Kind of. But it doesn't transition, you don't go down into the garden area where the cauliflower guy is and all that type of stuff.
So the main thing that's interesting about this, so as some of you guys know, I'm doing now another casual podcast with my friends called Very Noise Podcast. Jordan, Enter Excalibur, said that if Banjo got announced, he would eat the disc for nuts and bolts. I'm gonna make sure that's still gonna happen. Safely, of course.
So what was everybody's expectation?
Safely, of course.
I really felt that Banjo was going to get it.
I knew.
Like, the way that they were hinting at him over the course of the last few weeks, and just the mass amount of people asking.
Well, not only
for
that,
it.
all the shit that Microsoft's been doing with Nintendo, Cuphead's on the Switch. Xbox Live's coming to the Switch, though they didn't talk about that at all, which I thought was interesting. Like, Microsoft didn't even mention their thing with Nintendo at all, which I thought was interesting. But, like, stuff's coming to the Switch from Microsoft. They're trying to make the whole crossplay thing work. Like, things that were exclusive to Xbox, Super Lucky's Tale is coming to Switch.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I think Microsoft is at this point is like, they get it. They're like, they're like, people aren't going to jump ship for their console for like 1 or 2 games. But if they can get people, like, if they can get Nintendo on board for crossplay, it'll get Sony to think about it more too. Because it's one of those things that, when everyone else is doing it but you, then people won't go to you anymore, essentially. So,
and Sony is the master of like doing something right after Nintendo. So
yeah. So I mean, look at State of Play, right?
Exactly.
I would just like to point out, Nintendo of America posted the Banjo trailer on Twitter, and it got retweeted by Phil Spencer, who just says yes.
Really?
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's like, you wouldn't like a few years ago, you wouldn't think it'd be possible because they would have to go through a whole bunch of hurdles to get through it, because it's like, well, Microsoft owns this, but how are they going to get past that? Because it's like rival company and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I guess once they actually sat down and talked, and then the negotiations were apparently easy, like Phil Spencer was just like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
I imagined there was a meeting and they were all sitting there and Sakurai was quiet the whole time, and then they go, all the executives from Microsoft and Nintendo are talking. They're like, Mr. Sakurai, do you have something to say? Banjo or no deal. They're like, all right.
And then Microsoft says, never ask me for anything again.
What about a new Banjo game?
I think that the gaming landscape is starting to change. Like, I know it sounds silly to point out the Game Awards, but when you see... This was before Reggie left, or retired, but like still, like when you see the 3 American company owners come out simultaneously and speak about how gaming brings us all together, and it's not just about, company rivalries, it makes it seem like, I guess we're starting to slowly move in a more omnidirectional idea of that games are... They're just one facet, one platform that people are able to express themselves on. So I feel like we are in a time where gaming is going to allow more of this stuff to happen. And it's not going to be like, oh, you need to give us like 50% of the DLC money of Banjo.
Though I'm pretty sure that Microsoft is getting a cut of that.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but it isn't the main focal point. The focal point is the fact that these game companies are allowing, like, hell, Nintendo gave Mario one of their flagship licenses to Ubisoft to create an XCOM game, and it turned out amazing. It's
funny,
right?
because, like, I remember when we went to EGLX last year, and we were at the Cuphead developers panel, somebody asked if it's coming to Switch, and they're like, it's never coming to Switch. And like, because they're loyal to Microsoft. And then Microsoft were the ones who actually asked them, hey, would you guys want to port Cuphead to the Switch? And they're like, yes?
It was more so that they were still stuck on an exclusivity deal at that point. And I guess afterward...
But like, Microsoft, from what I understand from the thing I heard, Microsoft approached them about putting it on the Switch. Like, they approached... MD for whatever their MDHR, that's their name, about putting it on the Switch, and they were kind of shocked because it was their executives from Microsoft asking them to do it. So they've probably had this plan for a while, and you know what, Microsoft's not stupid. They probably saw how many people wanted Banjo in Smash, and they're like, we can capitalize on this.
Yeah, and this may come down that we may get Banjo-Kazooie Rebared or Bird and Bear Edition or
Banjo
whatever.
3E.
No.
Yeah,
we can hope for maybe a remaster, but
yeah, Banjo remake.
So my question is, When are we getting Master Chief and Goku for Smash?
We already have Goku. It's the
Unfortunately,
Drake
Master
Quest hero.
Chief has been that was Travis is probably another big one,
Could be.
but I heard that Master Chief was there's been a flat out no from a Studio 434 or whatever 343. Yeah, thank you. So like that was like they even said it on Twitter. They just said no, he won't. We won't
He
put
was
him in
Dead,
Smash.
Dead or Alive 4, though. So
Well, it wasn't him.
or
It wasn't Master
right, it was
Chief.
a Spartan, but that's the closest you'll get.
It was Nicole, which was Spartan 13 or something like that, or 43. No, Spartan 43.
Deep lore.
And she apparently, and this
Don't
is
say
actual
lore, you'll
canon,
summon
she
Paige.
fell into some. No, this is serious. This is serious. She is in Dead or Alive 4 because she fell into a time vortex in one of the Halo novels, and they didn't know what to do with her, so they plopped her in there.
Okay, then.
Sure.
Yeah, there's actual lore reasons why she's in there. And it's a female Spartan, it's not a male Spartan.
Well,
I'm just
There
saying
you go.
that just be like
So the last thing Nintendo
Mhm.
does,
one more thing.
just like, Nintendo, please marry me. Like, holy balls. When I first watched it, I was like, wow, okay, this is weird. And like I felt the Zelda feel to it. I was like, man, this really feels like Zelda. And then it cut to Breath of the Wild Link and Breath of the Wild Zelda. And at first I was like, oh my god, DLC?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, this isn't just DLC. This is a brand new title. And if it's been in development since Breath of the Wild came out, it's been in development for about 2 years now. Maybe a little less than that, depending upon how much of a break they took beforehand. But the way that they portrayed this, and I think Arlo pointed this out too, was the fact that it plays like a horror movie trailer. So we may be getting finally another Dark Zelda after Twilight
I
Princess.
heard rumors
and Majora's
that
Mask.
people are thinking it's going to be darker than Majora's Mask, which is that they're going to have to go pretty dark if they're going to go darker than Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see, because if, like, obviously we're supposed to assume that that's Ganondorf. But there's, like, that weird Twilight kind of looking hand thing, like, absorbing, stuff out of him. Was he sort of forced to have Calamity Ganon come out of him?
Yeah,
There's all types of
he was, like,
story
pinned down by
stuff.
it.
Yeah, and it looked as if it was drawing energy or something out of him. And then there is a small shot in the trailer where you see it, it's that glowy hand is like on Link, or his hand is glowing too. So, and everything's super out of order in that trailer, so it's really hard to pinpoint like where it takes place and what it is. But one thing that I noticed, and I'm wondering, is this could just be the opening cinematic and then we play as Link for the entire thing. But it very much felt like a journey between Link and Zelda.
Maybe you can switch between the
does
two of
that
them.
mean either you switch between the two, or maybe co-op?
That'd be nice.
If
That
they're
could
both
be really
playable
interesting.
to
Like
some
on the
capacity.
big open world game that has co-op and dungeons. And another interesting thing is it all takes place underground, from what it looks like. Which in Breath of the Wild, there's really no cave systems. Like you can say that the shrines are underground and everything like that, but there's only very, very small parts of the game where you actually go into like a small cave. Like there's one up in the northern part of the map where you go into this sort of ice structure and then you see like this giant like dragon Leviathan skeleton.
Okay.
You're like, ooh, what's this?
Not
You know?
to spoil the rest of Breath of the Wild or go on forever, but I think Blondie has something he wants to say.
Well, I was just gonna say, just based off of that trailer, it was gonna be I don't know if it will be entirely based off of Underground, and although the whole theme of like stuff that's hidden underground is kind of a theme of Breath of the Wild as well, so it's like it could be more things that they come across that are unearthed, and it's like, uh-oh, this is happening now. But I do think it's really cool that they're doing a direct sequel, because instead of doing a whole another new Zelda game, they're basically taking what the engine and assets from Breath of the Wild and just making a new sequel, like they did with like Majora's Mask. And I feel that way we get another Zelda game in a more timely manner, and not have to wait like 5 or 6 years for the next one.
They're gonna go back to
and like
Terminal.
the tales of Breath of the Wild is high. Like the game is like universally praised. Whether some people like it and some people don't, like that's up
It
to
was the
personal
first
opinion. But
Zelda to get Game of the Year since Ocarina of Time, so it definitely has something. There's something there, obviously, that people really enjoy. I haven't finished it because I have it on Wii U. So
I mean, I have it on Wii U. I've finished it.
Yeah.
But that pretty much wraps up.
Wait, hold on.
all
SCR,
of
is there
E3.
anything final thoughts on
yeah.
Nintendo?
I really need to get going. I have work.
I know.
I'm sorry. Like I really have to be like.
My final thoughts are yes.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Yeah. So that was E3. Nintendo wins as per usual.
I mean, if you want to pick a winner,
I say Square and
Square is
and
a
Nintendo
close
had
second.
The best conferences.
Microsoft was solid, and Bethesda and Ubisoft,
Those are the
and
low
EA
points.
had a game.
EA, yep, they had a Star Wars game.
They were there. They got a participation award.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for E3. All right, guys. So that was E3. Canadian Jutsu unfortunately had to go because he had work coming up. So
It's getting late because we record these.
yeah, exactly. Well, I don't really have a choice. I can't do it during the day. So, but anyways, before we finish up, guys, do you want to talk about what you're working on?
All I'll say is that I do have a video in the works. I'm hoping to get it out soon, at the very least. And in lieu of, like, I guess the Banjo-Kazooie Smash news, I'm probably gonna maybe do something about that. Like, not about the Smash stuff, more so like something Banjo-Kazooie related in terms of like a review or something. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. SCR, working on anything?
I'm working on the next part of the Seiken Densetsu retrospective, which events from E3 have kind of changed how that's going to go.
Naturally.
No, I'm glad about that, though. Working on another video on the side of that, which is going to come out a little earlier. I don't want to spoil what it is, though. And I have another Strumming the Bassline coming up in the next week or two, which is on a PS1 game that's a little near and dear to me.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. I love your shit. But let's see. So as for me, I've had to put reviews on hold, obviously, because of Anime North and stuff. It's starting that I've been pretty busy the last couple of weekends as well, or weeks in general. So I'm finally getting back to it. I have a Quick Hunts in the works, and I got a code for a game that is in early access that I need to do a video on, so that's probably going to happen. And just basically keeping up with my Let's Plays and streams and stuff. This Tuesday, if this comes out by the time it happens, I'm doing a Smash and Splatoon 2 sort of tournament versus thing with the Super Kart Brothers. So Tuesday, June, whatever fucking day that is. I have my calendar
18th.
right here. The 18th, we'll be doing some matches, crossover kind of thing with Super Kart Brothers. So that's happening. Other than that, just working on all my regular stuff. The second episode of the Very Noise podcast is coming out eventually once the editing problems get figured out. That'll be on Enter Excalibur's channel. And yeah, just general stuff I'm working on. I don't have a lot. I don't want to retread old ground with a lot of my stuff. I just want to say what's actually being worked on and go from there. With that being said, guys, where can people find you?
Just look up Long Guy Gamer for YouTube and Twitter. That's about it, really.
And Patreon as well, right?
Well, I mean, if you really want to, but yeah.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Gozaimasu.
SCXCR on YouTube, SCXCR on Twitch, SCXCR on Patreon, SCXCR in Ohio.
Gozaimasu. That joke won't get old. And
Technically, konbanwa.
Nani? But anyways,
Gaijin.
listen, you're a gaijin too, so shut the fuck up. Anyways, so yeah, you guys know where to find me. Facebook, Zeromaster fan page, Twitter, @Zeromaster, Patreons, patreon.com/Zeromaster if you want to support this, get early access to this and other videos. I stream twice a week on Twitch, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And my Twitch name has changed to just twitch.tv/Zeromaster. I got my own name. That's one down. But also, if you want to support this podcast, you can save money on games at the same time by using many of the Indie Gala affiliate links we have available down below. It'll be whatever Indie Gala bundle is the one this week that I care about. And if you don't have any money but you still want to support the show and protect yourself online, download the Brave browser. It's made by the people who made the original code for Mozilla, so Firefox, and you can get that down there as well. Guys, thanks for coming out. This was great. Sorry for taking up 3.5 hours of your life.
Listen, as long as it's not like the 6 hours like you did last year, apparently.
Oh my god!
Like at least we didn't have to split up into 2 parts.
There was the first part was an hour and a half, and the second part was 3.5 hours. So yeah. That happened. So, but yeah, thanks for coming out. I wanted to get more opinions this time than just me and CJ, even though he did most of the talking.
I mean, he did kind of do most of the talking.
For somebody who wasn't feeling very well, he did most of the talking, but hey, it was great. So anyways, but for the Hunter Base podcast, I am Zeromaster, and I was here with, again,
Long Eye Gamer,
SCXCR,
and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care. Goodbye.